Good morning, real life traders. How is it going, everybody? Whew, what an exciting week this is going to be. How is everybody doing? Jason, how you doing, my man? How's everything going? Hope you are well. Well, this is the real life trading free week. And this is Johnny Guarco coming to you live from Honolulu, Hawaii. Hope everybody is doing great. Wow, we're going to have a packed house here. This morning we got Danny Jansen. He's going to be helping me out in the chat pane. And I am so excited for our free week. Bomdad is here. Steph is here. Mike M is here. Whew. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to everybody. They're piling in. Daniel, good morning. How is it going? Ivan, what is happening? Woodshed, how you doing, buddy? Hope you had a good weekend. Let's rock it today. Simon, all the way from Italy. Woo, we're talking, it's 4 o'clock in the morning here, Hawaii. So we're talking maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Simon's almost done for the day. He just got to make some money now. And he's done. Doug KK, Ali, how you doing? Ryan, wow, holy cow, man. We have a packed house. Mike, how you doing today? Mario is in the house. Rock, of course, is going to be here rocking it with us. Darian, Uday, Lily, holy moly, man. Jenny, how you doing? 1 a.m. in Australia for Jenny. Whew, Danny, you're going to have to help me out with this chat pane, man. I'm like 30 messages deep already. Ita, good morning. Wow. The stock dog. What is happening? What is going on? Delfino, Andrew. Well, I'm not going to be able to say good morning to everybody because I could be here for the next half hour or so. I know you all want to get on with business. So let's see, I'm recording this. So that's a great start. I remembered to record. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read a little disclaimer. Just make sure we get that done and out of the way, and then we'll get right into this. So everybody knows that trading has a risk associated with it, right? So you got to know your risks before making any kind of trade. You're the only ones that are pushing the buttons, so you're responsible for you, right? This is a presentation for educational purposes. It's not a solicitation or a recommendation what to trade, all right? This is a group of traders taking a look at stocks and coming up with some great ideas, and you are responsible to push the buttons yourself, right? Just wanted to get that out of the way. All right, now we can start business. Of course, this is our free week, our open house. We so look forward to this twice a year. You all got an invite. If you're new to real life trading, I can't tell you how happy we are you're here and excited for this week. You're going to see by the end of this week, I know at least one takeaway that you're going to have. And that takeaway is real life trading is full of a bunch of professionals that are like family and friends. I mean, that's what we are. We are a big family, and we are our best of friends. And we get together every morning, every afternoon, and we talk about trading stocks. I mean, that's the takeaway. Like I said in the beginning, I mean, you're responsible to set up your own trades and do your own trades, but we are just a family that gets together and talks about some great ideas. So keep that in mind. Besides the being educational and learning so much from this family, I mean, we learn every day from one another, and it's just a great community, just a genuine community that's made up of awesome people. So we are going to slow things down a little bit, especially here in the beginning room. We have two rooms. We have a beginner room and another, you could call it more advanced trading room. In the beginner room, we really kind of slow down and look at trades, do analysis a little bit more, and really just stay at the basics. So if you're anything above and beyond just being basic and you really want to get right into the trading and trade stocks right off the bat, my recommendation would be to go into our other room, because they're going to be really more focused at punching the numbers and hitting the trades right off the bat. Here in the beginning room, where I talked to Jeremy yesterday, and he told me to make sure that we're more in the teaching mode of how we teach and how we look at stocks. So we're going to be doing a lot of that. We may not even get into a trade. I don't know. If we see something that's awesome, we will get into that trade if we have time to get it set up. But I just wanted to let you all know that we're going to be going slow and and having a good time. Adriana is all the way from Chile. Holy cow. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So again, Danny Jansen is going to be helping me out in the chat pane. So if I miss you accidentally, it's not because I meant to, it's just because so busy talking about stuff and doing things. You can always send me a personal message or email at johnny@reallifetrading.com. If you want to talk to me anytime, send me an email. Yes, I am recording this, so this will be available for you guys and girls later on. So yeah, I'm excited. I wanted to show you one thing real quick. So we have Slack. This is our community of traders that we have this up every morning, and we're talking about stocks, and mostly in the morning we're very focused on the different stocks that we're taking a look at for the day. But if you get into our community, you'll have access to this Slack channel. It's like a Facebook on steroids, if you would. We talk everything about stocks and life and everything else. And it's a great personal messaging system. You can see over here, I have people that send me messages. And it is an unbelievable resource for people looking for stocks to trade. Like Leah here is looking at CCIV. Jeremy's talking to people. We have other moderators like Robert Falco that's talking about stocks. So what a great resource that we have in our community. I'm going to put this over here on my different screen just to get it out of the way, so we can look at some stocks, and let us know if you have any questions. And we're going to go ahead and start looking through what's happening in the stock market. Jigger, if I'm pronouncing your name right, yes, we are recording this, and you'll be able to watch this later. So you'll have that as a resource for you. All right. This is the SPY, the Spider S&P 500 ETF. I look at this first thing to get a good taste of what's happening in the market. I use TradingView, so this is my charts that I have. All the mentors use different ways that they look at stocks. Jeremy uses TradingView quite religiously, if you would. I pretty much only use it as my charting software. So they have a free trial if you want to take a look at that. We don't get any commission or whatever. I'm not recommending it for that, but I've been using TradingView for, I don't even know, maybe 6-8 years, something like that. I love it. So we'll take a look at the SPY. We see this is the SPY pre-market says it's gapping up here to about 383. You can see on Friday, we had this little evening star type of reversal pattern, which is pretty nasty looking, which means we may head down. But pre-market, it looks like the market is going crazy. We're gapping up from Friday. Friday, we closed about 382.89, and we gapped up here, or we're gapping up there now to about 383.5. So that's looking good, looking strong on the Qs. Next thing what I do, or that was the SPY. Next thing that I do is I look at the Qs to see what we're doing. Qs, we are absolutely going outrageously crazy. Look at this volume that came in last week. Real life traders, we look at volume quite often. Not quite often, all the time. We're religious about looking at volume. Volume is a great indicator. It's a lead indicator of what stocks are going to do. We're going to talk about indicators a little bit later. And so look at that volume that came in last week, and we're gapping up here now to 328.80. Why do we like gaps? We love gaps because they create momentum, right? People see this type of momentum where people coming in and buying different stocks. This is the Qs. And people are saying, wow, man, I don't want to miss out on that. They get this thing called, we call it the fear of missing out. And so people start piling on, and that's what they do with gaps. In this case, gapping up, it's creating this momentum, this fear. People are saying, wow, I'm going to be left in the dust, right? And it creates momentum, buying momentum, and that's why we love trading gaps. So let me look at the chat pane. Bomdad, okay, we'll take a look at crowd in a second. Trader D777, is there an open house for the other room, or is this the only one? Yes, there is an open house. We discussed it first thing this morning. This is the beginner's room, so we're going to be going over real basic stuff. This is for just what it says, beginner traders. So we're going to be doing a lot of teaching, a lot of explaining things, and going slow and mo. So, all right, sound good? So let me go ahead, and I normally put together my pre-market. There are different scanners that you can use out there. I have Interactive Brokers, which is my broker. I know there's probably 10 or 15 different brokers out there that people use. Most of them you can have your own scanner. I look at my interactive scanner, and I have that set up to show me where gaps are. So I go through that first thing in the morning, and I put the gaps that I really love over here on my chart. So by the way, make sure everybody, can you throw me a 1 to make sure that you can hear me okay, and also that you can see me okay? I want to make sure everybody is, all right, everybody's squared away. Thank you very much. Whew. All right. Ready to rock. By the way, before I forget, if you look down at your chat panel, you're going to see where it says 2. Can you make sure that your chat panel says all panelists and attendees? Because if it's just all panelists, then I'm the only one who's going to be able to see it. We want to make sure that if you have questions or comments, or if you have suggestions, that everybody else can see it. So make sure you are on all panelists and attendees. Steph said, Johnny, do they get the swing room later too? That is a great question. I'm 95% sure that they do. Danny J, are you in the house, and can you answer that for sure? I'm pretty sure they do, Steph. 100%. There you go. I was 95 and Danny J was 100%. So not only is everybody get an open house to the day trading rooms in the morning, but also what Steph was saying, they get open house to the swing trading room later on this afternoon. And yes, RV, they are both going to be recorded. All right. Sometimes you're going to hear me take a little bit of a pause. Normally I have a motor mouth, so I keep it going. But when you hear me pause, that means I'm just taking a little sip of coffee. So no offense, like right now. Ouch, that's hot. So if you didn't hear it, I live in Hawaii. So early morning, 4 o'clock in the morning here, 4:15 to be almost exact. So I drink my coffee as I relax and look at the markets. All right. I'm going to go down my list. Bomdad, remind me as soon as I get done going through my list so I can talk about the gaps and so forth. We'll go look at crowd. I'm going to go starting here and looking at Corsair Gaming. So what I do in the morning is I go through and look for gaps. We have two different types of gaps. When you have a white candle that's gapping up like this, that's called what we call a retest gap. So what we expect this thing to do is gap up first thing, but we expect this thing to come back and retest this candle from Friday and then go. It's still a nice strong gap, but it's going to create a little bit of selling off first thing, potentially, and we never know how much. So we always look to buy low and sell high, right? So you got the 10 and the 20 moving average, and I should tell you what those are on my chart right now before we start. That would be a great idea. So red line, blue line, green line. If you look over here at my chart, you're going to see a bunch of different writing and so forth, and it's going to show up a little bit different once the market opens. But we have our exponential moving averages, which I use my 10, 20, and 50. 10, 20, and 50, red, blue, green, 10, 20, and 50. So those are indicators. Those are moving averages, exponential moving averages, if you would. And those I use because a lot of traders use them to determine where they're going to get in or where they're going to get out. And it gives you an idea of where the stock is moving for the day. So you can see these moving averages are kind of telling us that this is going sideways. And you can see Corsair Gaming has been going sideways for the last couple months. So down here, we got support, obviously. If you know how to do that, we look for places where people are buying. We put in our support. So you can see every time we get to this point, a lot of people hop on and buy. So people bought here, come up here, profit, they sell off. Some people go short, people buy again, take profit. So how many times did it hit here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times. So pretty good place to buy down here, right? So buy low, sell high. You have a bunch of people taking profits here and selling off. And some people that are going short on the stocks, like some people at the bottom of this candle right here said, hey, I'm going to sell short. And they go short. And what do they have to do? So they're selling the stock right here. But when it gets down to support, they have to buy it back, right, in order to take profits. So what happens when all these shorts start buying to close? They got to buy to close, and it creates that momentum, that volume down here, and that's what gives us this push up. So hope that makes sense to everybody, what's going on there. So that's why I like it here, bouncing off the 50 moving average, bouncing off support, bouncing up nicely off this candle. Hope that makes sense to everybody. Let's go look at Upwork. Upwork, okay, I'm going to put Upwork a little bit on my list, a little bit higher. What I look for is, again, you have all these shorts here, right? Potentially needing to buy. We look what happens. This is one of the candles that we love so much here at Real Life Trading. It's called a hammer candle. And when you have a hammer candle, you have people that are getting in, they initially are selling off, and the rest of that candle is creating momentum. And in this case, some bullish momentum, and people are buying, and people are having to buy again to close their positions. So it's creating momentum. I'm not going to put this on the top of my list right now because I look for gaps that gap above pivots. This is a pivot. So anytime you have a gap above a pivot, that creates even more momentum. So not one of my favorite choices. It is a nice gap though. When something gaps inside, it's called it's gaps inside day candle. So it's not as beautiful and gorgeous and strong as something that's gapping up above pivot points. All right. So I'm going to put this up here on my list. By the way, if you look in my chart over here, so these orange stocks, those are those gaps that I'm calling retest gaps. So like Upwork, again, it was a white candle on Friday, a bullish candle, and it's gapping up again, and it's got to retest and then go. That's what our expectations are. Make sense to everybody? All right. Whew, we got a lot of people in the house. Danny J. Let's look at Maxar. Let me look at a better a better example? I think Maxar was a good example. Yep. Okay. So Maxar, in the beginning room, I have the tendency to stay away from trading at all-time highs. The reason being is because we are technical analysts. All right, that's what we do. That's what Jeremy teaches, and that's what real life trading uses to analyze stocks. In technical analysis, you want to have as much information as you can possibly have over here to help you out with trading your stock. So that's why in the beginner room, you'll see me shy away from trading all-time highs. So what I wanted to show you here is not only has Maxar been on the rip though, so Maxar, nice trend. This is called a gap and go. So the reason why I like this so much is it's really not up here at the all-time high. It's pretty close to that all-time high, but we still have some room over here to help us out with targets. But what I really love about Maxar this morning is this pullback right here, right? You have people taking profits again. You have some people saying, holy cow, Maxar just hit 55, which is a nice even number for a stock to hit. You get this candle right here. This is a shooting star candle. This is a good indication that a stock is going to pull back, right? And all of a sudden you get these people that are piling on going short, right? Because this creates an evening star reversal up here, right? And people in their mind are saying, okay, this thing is going to take a dump, right? Especially look at all this bullish volume. So bullish volume came in early in the week, hits a point of resistance, in this case, an all-time high. People decide to take profits. Boom, you have all the selling off. And then what happens on Monday, January 25th? Boom, you get this unbelievable, beautiful gap up above this pivot point, right? And this is what we call a gap and go. When you have the previous day a bearish candle, because white candles are bullish, black candles are bearish, right? When you have a bearish candle and then a gap up, that is called a gap and go. And our experience is it does exactly just that. It gaps and then it goes. Whereas the retest gap we talked about, it will come back, pull back, and pull back a little bit and then go. So we trade them totally different, right? The gap and goes, we look for opportunities where we can just take them right off the bat because that's what they do. They gap and they go. The retest gaps, we look for them to pull back a little bit and then buy it down low and then go. So hope that is making sense for everybody. I know Dan Jansen is talking about your dashboard. If you have on your dashboard, you should see a purple Slack icon on it. So everybody look for your real life trading Slack icon and you can click on there and then you can get access to our Slack. And
yeah, we're just waiting to hear. I don't know if Slack is with the free week or not. I'm just waiting from Matt to respond. But if you guys do want to check Slack, it would be a purple icon in your dashboard. Otherwise, check your email from when you signed. And when you signed up, if you got an email back, it might have a link, but I'm not sure 100% if Slack is with it or not.
Yeah, in previous
automated.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Danny. At previous previous open houses, I don't believe that we've had Slack for the open house. It's just an administrative nightmare trying to get all those people on there. So I thought you had some information that we were going to do it, but I don't think we do. As most people, yeah, Steph, Rock, Simon. So yeah, you get Slack definitely. If you join the real life trading community and you subscribe to something like Danny is saying, that's when you get access to Slack. Slack is just such an unbelievably awesome resource for us. It's an added benefit. And so we pretty much reserve that for the right of people that are subscribing to one product or another in real life trading. So, all right, makes sense, everybody? So Maxar, we have a beautiful gap up. It is up at all-time highs, but it's still trapping all these people. When I say trapped, It's exactly what you might think if you're not familiar with that term. All these people that are selling off, you get a gap and it traps those people. And what it does is creates momentum, because now they're seeing this gap and they're going to say, holy cow, what do they got to do? They got to buy Maxar to close their position, right? Because they don't want to lose money. They might have their stop up here, and they don't want to lose money. So they got to buy to close their position. That buying is going to create all kinds of volume today and push the stock price higher on Maxar. That right there is the premise of really what we focus on in the morning day trading rooms. We're looking for those gaps. We're looking for things that cause emotions in traders, right? Because emotions really are what pushes the price one way or the other. If you got people that have the fear of missing out, right? When you see like a gap like this, people pile on, and that's creating that fear of missing out, and they're going to pile on with them. When you got this kind of fear, I think personally, this fear is worse than the fear of missing out, because when you add money, these people are buying because they have to buy to close their positions in order not to lose money, right? Or lose profits. So when you have the fear of losing money driving the price of a stock, to me, that's tenfold than the fear of missing out. But we all know the fear of missing out is quite strong, right? I know everybody feels that one way or the other, probably most of their days. So, all right, let's cruise on down my list. Workday. So now you'll see kind of what I was talking about. So Workday, I really like this gap because it's totally clearing this pivot points, right? I like Workday because you had all these people selling off, right, and going short. It comes down, hits this moving average here, and people start buying. And this has created what we call, this is a real funky one, but we love to look for double bottoms at real life trading. So a double bottom is this, and we'll talk more about chart patterns and candlesticks as we go through this, but this is a chart pattern of a double bottom. And what happens is usually people are selling off that first leg of the double bottom. And then as you see this right here, all this momentum is created by people wanting to buy at support. So you got this bullish volume coming in, it comes in and people say, boom, okay, I hit resistance, right? Because resistance is, this was old support and now it's new resistance, right? It's where before people were buying, lots of people bought here, came down here, bounced a little bit of support, and then boom, it broke that support. And this double bottom has created a little bit of a channel. So you can see my resistance line here, my support line here, double bottom. The second leg created a lot of momentum, a lot of bullish volume came in. People decided to take profits again. And what happens, it hits support again, and people say, okay, I'm not missing this thing this time. And look at the volume comes in. So that's the premise behind a double bottom. You always want to look, double bottoms work great when you have a lot of selling off, right? You hit support, you come in here, you have a lot of bullish buyers coming in, they take a little bit of profits, comes down at support, and boom. So look at this gap. Isn't this a beautiful gap? Even though this has had 3 white candles in a row, which is a lot, it's a retest gap. So what we're expecting is this thing to come back down, retest, and then go. So that's looking pretty. Wanted to explain that. Give me 10 seconds and I'm going to take a sip of coffee again real quick. Let me clear that. Well, I'm going to leave that on there. I'll leave that on there for now. Let me take a real quick sip. Salvador, what is happening, my man? How you doing today? Thank you for joining us. Whew. All right, we got about 100 people in the house in the beginner room, no less. Just the beginner room. Can't even imagine, Danny. We probably have 200, 300, 400 people in the other room. Yes, we are open, Rock. All right, lemonade. Let's go look at some lemonade. Anybody want some lemonade? So we're getting ready. We've already opened. Holy cow. All right. So I got to start talking faster. We've already opened the market, but lemonade, you can see another retest gap. It's gapped up beautifully above this pivot point. So we would look for an opportunity where lemonade can come down here, retest this white candle. Sometimes they come down more than others, right? But you see it retested a little bit, and then it's going to giddy up and potentially go. So that's what we look on for those retest gaps. Usually I'm already in the stocks looking at stocks and trying to get setups. But again, because the beginner room here, we are in the learning mode and trying to teach everybody how real life trading community looks at things and trades. So we're going to go slow and mow and slow. I don't know which way around. Anyway, pardon me, by the way, if I act a little nuts and crazy. I just 4 o'clock in the morning, so I got to kick the energy in, and so I go a little bit bonkers. I just love trading with my folks, and I'm a little bit nutso sometimes. I usually go first thing in the morning, and I'll look where the SPY and the Qs open up. So you can see this looks pretty lovely, even though we had this little evening star reversal setup, which says potentially we would go down. And by the way, this gap right here, the SPY loves to come back and fill these gaps. So one of these days, maybe not next day or 2 or 3, or maybe even month, potentially the SPY would like to come down and fill this gap right here. And when I say fill this gap, actually have some price action that comes all the way down to 379. So right now, what we're doing is we gapped up. We didn't clear this high of Friday, which would have been a lot nicer if we cleared this high of Friday. But we are now creating a little bit of a morning star reversal, meaning that I think if you are been tracking the market, you know the market has been very bullish. Potentially, this may be the signal that we just giddy up and go for the rest of the day. So yes, Delfino, I do look, I didn't get to pre-market data, but I'll take a look at it here in a second. So the SPY gapped up, didn't clear that pivot. We'll keep an eye on that during the day. But look at the Qs. The Qs, this is a retest gap, so we may see a little bit of a retest, or this thing may just giddy up and go a little bit, come back and retest and fill this gap and then go. So that's something that we take a close look at. AMD, what we normally do is we've been trading AMD very frequently, almost every day. Jeremy calls it our automatic teller machine. So we've been trading the heck out of that and making some nice cash. We do have earnings coming up on AMD for people that are looking to take that for a swing trade, because we don't recommend that people get into a swing trade, especially right before earnings, because during earnings, it could gap way up, it could gap way down. And just because you think that a company like AMD has been crushing it of late, you never know. They may not meet the expectations of earnings, and they may drop a gap down, and it may gap down below your stop that you have, and then you're going to be in a hurt locker. So yeah. So what we do in the morning is we go in and we take a look at AMD. This is pre-market. So AMD, what we've been looking for is we've been tracking this RSI indicator down here. This is a relative strength indicator, and it just it covers the strength of a move. So the higher, the stronger it is, but it also is an indicator that once it gets way up here in the above 60 that we track in the 60, 70, 80s, that it's a good time to pull back. So in other words, would we want to buy up here? Probably not. There's probably other trades where we could buy low and sell high, right? So because this is so high in the relative strength indicator, I'd be waiting for a pullback opportunity to buy. You can see that AMD is a gap and go, right? Because on Friday's candle, this is called a high wave candle, right? It bounced off the 10 and the 20 exponential moving average, but this is a great sign. When the 10 crosses over the 20 like this, it's a very bullish sign. So this was a gap and go, but it didn't clear this pivot right up here. So we really love gaps when, like, if this thing would have gapped up here, this thing would just giddy up and go. But because this was an inside day candle, it's really not an A+ trade for us right now, especially because this relative strength index is so high. So we'd be looking for a pullback on this. And we would be looking for, I'd be looking for a pullback down here, somewhere down here, because I'd be waiting, because the RSI is so high right now. Sure, it might just get up and go up here to 99, 100, but we look for better opportunities where we can buy low and sell high, right? So let's go look at CRWD, I think it was, for Bomdad. Let's take a look at his gap. So yeah, that was a nice gap, although it didn't gap above this pivot point, right? But look at this pattern, what we talked about before. This is kind of a double bottom type of pattern that has formed on the daily, right? So nice strong pattern. The double bottom that we looked at previously, I would say, is better because there's a lot more people selling off than this, but this is a nice strong pattern. You got support down here. So yeah, and it's forming this double bottom. So you could take a look at that and see where you may want to set something up where you could take this for breakout, right? Because it is, remember, it is a retest gap. So it kind of really already has retested here. So you could look for this for a breakout. Since it's already broke out, you want to make sure that that's not a trap. You don't want to get in here and then all of a sudden it plummet. We always look to buy low. So you could put maybe a buy order down here at 226, right? And set in your stop. So let me go over that real quick because we do need to go over how we trade with the R system. So let me go over this real quick for all our new traders here so they understand when I set something up, how I'm going to set it up. So I don't know if you all have heard us talk about yet, but I'm going to use my paintbrush. We use the R system. And what the R system says is this is what we're going to risk on our trades. So the way real life trading advocates is that whether you're day trading, you're swing trading, you use the same risk every single time, because the way that we've experienced in how you're going to profit from trades over the long run is by keeping the same risk, and not one trade maybe risk $100 and then the next trade risk $1,000. We advocate that everybody risks the same thing on all your trades. And this is based off your account size. So your account size, let's just say for sake, in this case, you have a $10,000 trading account size, right? So real life trading says we advocate that you take 1 to 2% of that trading account size and use that as your risk. So 10% of 10,000 would be $1,000. So in this case, RLT is advocating that on every trade, you start off, you take a look at maybe using $100 as your risk unit, okay? So everybody tracking there. It's based off of your account size, which in this case, this example I gave is $100. I mean, $10,000, excuse me. So $10,000 account size in your broker, and we recommend that use 1 to 2% for your risk. Now, let's say that you're a new trader, but you have $100,000 in your trading account. I would tell you that I would still personally advocate that when you first start trading, that you do something low, like use a low risk of maybe $100. Okay, because once you get comfortable, once you get profitable, then you can take that 1% or 2% of your account size once that happens. But when you're in the beginning stages of your career, I always recommend to people you take $50, $100 at the most, and use that as your R. So how does that come into play when we trade? All right. So what we do is you got to figure out how many shares that you're going to buy in a stock, right? So say you wanted to get into this, and this looks like a nice setup. Say you wanted to get here, let's just call it $230 to make it easy. So say this is $230, that's your entry. Say you want to buy at $230, right? Well, what we advocate is that you have a stop somewhere. So if you don't have a stop, that means you're open to unlimited risk, meaning that if you got into this trade and it broke out, you got into it, and then it all of a sudden just tanked for some reason. That means that if you didn't have a stop, this thing could come down to 222, could come down to 220. You'd be a lot of money in the hole. So the way we trade is with stops, right? So we always look at a chart and we say, okay, where would my stop be on this stock? So we go into here. Now I got a bunch of junk in the way. We go into here and say, well, where could this pull back? This is a retest gap, don't forget. So it could retest this candle down in here somewhere. So if you're looking to buy CrowdStrike in this case, and I'm not advocating this is a trade, I'm just giving you an example, okay? Let's say that we put our stop down here below pre-market, okay? Let's just use that as an example. And that's just an example. That's all it is right now. So let's make this stop. Let's say you believe you want to put your stop there at 226, right? We have our entry at 230. So the way you figure out how many shares you're going to buy is you take your entry, which in this case is $230, and you subtract your stop. And the way that I do that in TradingView, we got this really cool tool. So I can put my entry and I can use this as my stop. So this will tell you, get this all cleared
Looks
up.
like a good trade, Johnny.
Looks like a beautiful trade, right? Huh?
Thanks for walking people through this. This is so helpful. Type it a 1 if this is helpful in the chat pane team. Because again, our goal is to help everyone here learn this stuff, understand this stuff. It doesn't matter if we don't make money every day. You don't have to make money every day to make money every month. It's about the process, because this is a key to financial freedom, is understanding the process. Right, Johnny?
Absolutely, babe. Woo, we got Jeremy Alexander Newsom, the man, in the house. It doesn't get any better than this, guys and girls. I'm telling you. So, Jeremy, you want to talk about this trade?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I like about it is kind of like Johnny's mentioning, it's really interesting to be able to see and to wait, because what Johnny did is he waited, oh my goodness, 15 whole minutes. 15 minutes for some selling to come in, for some obvious resistance to be placed. And what it does is it helps you create a setup. It helps you know what your risk is. It helps you calm your blood pressure down. It helps you not stress out, because our objective with all of this, my friends, is to help people create a really good followable plan, a procedure, a process that we can repeat over and over and over again. So I really do like the trade. CrowdStrike historically can be a little bit spready, but it's going to close in about 60 seconds, this candle. And then Johnny, you could show us how to put that trade in or what that looks like.
Okay. I didn't get through the going through the risk yet, but
let
me do that, because I think that's really important for people to understand, right? Yes. So we can explain how many shares. So let me get rid of some of this stuff out of the way. Sorry about that. Didn't realize that I'm going to clear all of this stuff right real quick. Put this back here. So this TradingView has this really cool tool, like I said, and this is kind of a tight stop. So it's not a great example, wouldn't necessarily where we would put our stop, but I'm just giving you a setup of how we use the R system and how we use risk and how we mitigate our risk. So let's do something just a little bit less risky and call it like maybe 225 as our stop, because we're going to place our stop. If we break out of here, right, and enter the trade, then this is our stop. We're going to put this 225 in our broker, meaning that if it hits 225, we are going to get out of the trade because we're only going to lose in this case $100, right? Because go back over here to my little drawing doohickey. I use my paintbrush just because I'm slow typing. But don't forget, we decided we're going to use $100 as our risk unit. So in other words, every single trade that we're going to get into, we're going to only risk $100. So if we were to trigger in here and it come all the way down here and stop us out, all we're losing is $100. That's it, right? If you trade without stops, ladies and gentlemen, you could lose $1,000 or $10,000, right? Because if you have to get called away something and you don't have a stop in your broker, you have unlimited risk. So just for sake of ease, let's call this $230, because how we're going to figure out how many shares we're going to buy is we take our $230 entry, right? So this is our entry right here, our entry price, and then we subtract our stop price. So in this case, let's call it 225. So we subtract 225 and we see that we have basically $5 of risk out there. Got it? All right. So that means if we break out and we come out and get stopped out, that's $5 worth of risk right there. But in this case, our risk is $5. So in order to figure out how many shares we want to buy is we take this number of $5 and we take our risk, which is $100, and we take $100 and we divide it by the amount of risk that we have. So in this case, we're taking 100 divided by 5, and you all know that that nicely equals what? 20 shares, right? So again, risk, we take our entry, we subtract our stop, we have a $5 risk, we take our risk, we divide it by our risk number, our total risk, and we divide it by our risk of the trade, and we come out with 20 shares. 20 shares, we're gonna buy 20 shares of this stock if it breaks out. Okay, everybody checking? Give me a 1, make sure I didn't confuse anybody. This is the formula right here. One more time, you figure out your risk, you figure out your entry, you figure out your stop price, you subtract your stop price from your entry, you get your risk there. And
now, J-Bones, how do you come up with this number?
So earlier, before you came in, we went over that, J-Boo. We were talking about the account size. We gave the example in this case. We were talking about people that had a $10,000 trading account, right? We take 1% of that. So 10% of that would be $1,000 risk, which is way too much for a beginner trader. So 1% of that is $100. And we went over that, J-Boo.
Now, Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that you specialize in helping beginner traders, especially our military men and women.
That's what I do. I mean, if you guys, when you get to know me, you're going to understand Johnny Guarco is just a very simple, ordinary guy. That's how I trade. I mean, I was a Marine. They drilled into our head from day one, keep it simple, stupid, the KISS principle. And that's really how I've lived my life, man. Just one, because I'm such a rock, not rock Fullwood, but I'm a rock. I got to keep things simple, right? And that's how I trade. And because of my military background, my future, I'm looking for those boys and girls who have served their country so well and are looking for a way to generate another income stream, whether it's their primary income stream or just to add a little bit of extra cash to their pocket. I'm going to take those boys and girls under my wing and the RLT wing, and we're going to help them out. And that's kind of where my focus, that's what Jeremy's talking about right now. That's what my focus in the future will be. But, you know, if you're in the beginning stages of your career, you got to keep it simple. You just got to keep it simple. We have so much information out there that some people, you know, it makes their head hurt because they want to learn how to do too many things too fast. You got to learn the basics. Learn how to buy and sell stocks first, and then you can get more complex. That's the Johnny Guarco way, and that's what Jeremy's talking about. I'm that type of mentor that just teaches the basics. Once you learn the basics, then you can move on to the other mentors and do coaching like with Jeremy Alexander Newsom, and he will change your lifestyle. All of the mentors, they will change your life big time. I'm excited about this. You know why I know Jeremy's excited about this? Because you know what? If you're not getting into a stock, if you're not getting into it, that means you did some awesome analysis, right? That means that staying out of a trade is a lot, sometimes better even than getting into a trade. Sometimes you can get into a trade and, you know, you get excited and all of a sudden you think it's going to go, and then boom, it'll stop you out, you know, for a full, what we call a full R. This over here is a full R, right? $5 worth of risk. If you came down here and got stopped out, which some people might have gotten into this wick. Remember before Jeremy came in, Jeremy, we were talking about this wick, right? Why we sometimes wait for that wick on a breakout, that we would much rather buy low down here or down here, right? What happens is you'll see this a lot of times. People will get super excited about this one candle and they'll want to take this breakout instead of looking to buy low and sell high. They'll want to take the breakout. And what happens quite often is people get trapped. If you look at this, people had their entries. A lot of people had their entries here. And boom, this yellow line at 230.46, they got trapped. And now they just got stopped out probably. So that's how we roll here at Real Life Trading. We like to buy low and sell high, right? Jeremy, you got anything to say about that? I mean, about getting trapped and keeping out of a trade versus jumping into it too early?
Yeah, it's all about waiting generally. The best trades to take are normally the ones you don't take, my friends. And it really is just practice and waiting and getting reps in, because a lot of traders, especially, I mean, myself, when I first started, you want to make $1 million in your first year. And unless you have like 900,000, it's harder. So if you're starting with 25,000 or less, or 100,000 or less, or 300,000 or less, it's going to take longer than you expect, because everything does. Everything does. Like being a doctor, being an architect, being an engineer. I mean, you know, hell, being a Marine, like everything takes more time. You have to put in your reps and really, really get practice.
Jeremy, you want to explain to Bomdad his question about on gap and goes?
Yeah, totally. So Bomb says, how long is it better to trade a gap and go on a 1 or 2 minute chart? And when do we switch to 5 minutes? So I trade my gap and goes on a 2 minute chart. I would say that 1 minute chart is probably going to take you about 3 years to master. If it makes you feel any better, I still don't trade the 1 minute chart. I'm just not a specialist at it. I've tried, I've practiced. I'm not amazing at it. There are some traders. I mean, pretty much everyone here at RLT is better than I am. But what I can say is I personally do 2 minute, 3 minute, and 5 minute. And when I switch to the 5 minute, Bomdad, is usually after the first hour. In the first 30 minutes, I do spend a lot of time on the 2 minute and 3 minute chart, but you are still absolutely able just to go in and look at the 5 minute chart every 5 minutes in that first hour before fully switching your time frame.
All right, he's got it. So this is an example of, we looked at this first thing in the morning, right? And we said, okay, this is a pretty gorgeous looking gap and go. I want to show you this because, as you can see, not necessarily does everything work all the time, right? So Jeremy has a favorite saying, I mess it up more times than I get it right, but you know, everything works some of the time. So here's a nice gap and go on Maxar, right? We talked about this first thing this morning. And based on our experiences, more times than not, what will happen on a gap and go is they'll gap and then they'll go. But this is a case where it just didn't do what we thought it potentially could do. And why is that? I mean, if you look, somebody was asking about the pre-market data earlier. This really didn't give us a setup. It really didn't give us a setup to get in a gap and go. Now, if we had this nice candle here that was bouncing off of the 50 and the 20 and the 10, like we talked about earlier, and we had an entry here or an entry above pre-market high, that would have given us that opportunity. But we didn't set up the opportunity, or we wouldn't have set up the opportunity because we didn't really have anything to play up here. So I don't want everybody to think just because you have a gorgeous gap and go, that means boom, it opens and you can go, because it comes into play exactly what Jeremy was just talking about to Bomdad about. He plays on the 2 and the 3. He waits for his candles to set up, and this never set up. So we would not have gotten into this trade right here. Make sense to everybody?
Yeah,
All
I love
right.
it, man. Well, Johnny, you're doing incredible, dude. Thank you so much. And again, for those who are here, I really, really appreciate your time, energy, and I would love it if you can help us with our mission, which is to enrich lives. And we do that by educating people all over the world how the stock market works and how each and every one of us can create a plan and goals and dreams to achieve all the things that we want in life. So I'm gonna go help someone do that with a coaching session. Someone just signed up for one now. So thank you all, but I love you, and I'm very, very thrilled to be working with all of you this week. I will be on the microphone on Tuesday, and love you all.
Thanks, Jay Boob. Man, we love you. Thanks for coming to visit.
Thank you guys.
Have a great day. So let me talk a little bit about, wait till he's off now, because I didn't want to talk about him while he's on the air. But Jeremy and I have this special relationship. He's like 32, I'm 60. So he sees me like one of his good friends, but dad also. And I can tell you, I'm very choosy about the people that I hang around with. I just want to make sure that they have the same morals, values, and ethics that I do. And I can tell you, Jeremy, a lot of people think Jeremy is way too happy and way too excited for him to be real. I can tell you, the man is 110% thoroughly to the bone real. I mean, I love this guy. I've never met somebody more real, more genuine than Jeremy in my entire life. And if you have any questions about that, about the genuine, I don't even know what the word is, about real life trading being genuine and not just about sales, it has nothing to do with sales. Jeremy is all about the helping and enriching lives. That's 110% what he's about. So I know it's just coming from me, and but ask some of the other people in the community, and I'm pretty sure 100% of them are going to tell you the exact same thing. And again, if you have any questions about anything, please email me, Johnny, JONNY, at reallifetrading.com. All right. I mean, there's Rock. Rock is, foundation of our community. He's a perfect example of the type of people. He's in the chat pane right now. He's saying 100%. I mean, the guy is a superstar. Make friends with Rock Fullwood. Not only is he a unbelievably great guy, but he's a fantastic trader. So look at Patrick Sullivan. Patrick Sullivan in the chat pane, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulate him, please, because it gives me goosebumps to talk about it, because I'm right on his heels. He just retired. He just said, okay, I'm making way too much money in the stock market and I want to be free. Isn't that why we're here? We're here to make money. We're here to look at how we can achieve financial freedom. Patrick Sullivan just retired. he just achieved financial freedom. He is now making more money trading stocks than he was going to work for another man or a woman. So what do you want to do? Don't you want to hang out with people like us? All right. I'll quit being goofy. But yeah, Patrick, so proud of you, man. Love you to death. And dude, you know I'm going to be right behind you. As a matter of fact, Jeremy and I just had a long conversation yesterday. And he said, dude, I'm going to force you to retire here pretty soon because real life trading is getting ready to explode. It is getting ready to explode. All right. Hanging 10, Patrick, if you want to comment back to Hanging 10, I appreciate that. He wants, or they want to know what you trade, options, stocks, both. So, all right, let's go look into some other trades. I wanted to show you this too because pre-market, it wasn't on my chart, and we're going to look at it and talk about it quite often here in the next week. But remember, we talked about my indicators right here. So our indicators, again, AMD looking beautiful because that 10 is crossing that 20 blue line. You got the 50. AMD is above those right now. We didn't talk about this purple line and this red and blue line. I want to do that real quick. So again, please don't get frustrated because I'm doing more teaching than anything else. Well, 100% teaching right now. This is all for the new folks, just to teach them how we trade and what we do here in the rooms. Normally, I can tell you we are in, already a stock or two trading it. And a lot of the people like Rock and Patrick, I'm sure they've probably already gotten in and out of a couple trades for a couple hours. That's just how they roll. But so we got also here on my chart, I want to explain these other indicators. The red and the blue line, those are longer term moving averages. Those are not exponential. Exponential are just that. They're based on shorter term averages of figuring out the price of the stock. The blue and the red, this is 100 moving average. This is 200 moving average. Those are longer term, just what they say over the last 100 and 200 days, the average stock price. And they are great indicators. All these are great indicators of where people are going for their targets, where people are putting their stops. And that's why I trade with them on my charts. A lot of people, if you go look and trade with Jeremy a lot, you're going to see that on his chart, right? He uses indicators all the time, but he uses price action, which is the leading indicator. So there's two leading indicators in trading stocks. Price is the leading indicator, obviously, right? That indicates to us which way the price of the stock. In this case, it looks bullish, so we're thinking that this is going bullish. And then volume. Volume is the other indicator that tells us, gives us a good sense of where the stock may or may not go. In this case, we're very early in the morning. We're only a half an hour, 5 o'clock here in Hawaii. We're an hour into trading the market. So volume is still kind of low, but we'll keep an eye on ball on that, because if we have low volume today, that's not a great indicator that we're going to continue bullish. It could be an indicator that we may see some selling off. We are in AMD, we are making lower lows here, right? This is called lower lows. So, and here we are making, we got about even. So we're not making higher highs yet. Once we get up here and we're making higher highs, then we can feel a lot better about this bullish move. Don't forget, we're kind of in this channel right here, right? We're kind of in this channel. So when you get up here, you're potentially not only going to hit $100, but you're going to probably see some selling off, because people that are buying coming up in here, especially to this $100 price range, what are people going to think in their mind? Oh man, I made some money. It hit $100. People are going to sell off, and we're going to see a little bit of a sell off there. So let me put my indicators back on so we can finish talking about indicators. So got all my indicators back on there. And then the last one that I use, you can see here again, here are all my colors. Here's all my indicators. Got volume on it down there. And some people use different, like instead of using a 10-day moving average, some people might choose to use a 9-day or a 21-day. So it's personal preference. This is what I've used always. This is how I learned from Jeremy 12 years ago. I didn't tell you that, but I've been actually, let's see, no, it's actually 10 years ago that I started trading with Jeremy. So Jeremy was with a different company before he started real life trading. I learned to trade from Jeremy, and this is how Jeremy initially taught me how to trade, and I'm comfortable with that. So that's what I use. This purple line, just to get off indicators real quick, is called your volume weighted average. And that's exactly what it says. It takes the weighted average of these stocks, and that's what that indicator is. So you can see it stays right there where the average price of the stock is. That right there is a major indicator that we use, because people use that as a place to get in and a place to get out. A lot of times you'll see when price drops below the VWAP, we call it so intimately, the VWAP. It's just a great place. Like for me, I would be saying I wouldn't buy right down here below the VWAP. For me, I have a rule in my plan that says I got to wait till I'm above the VWAP. Either that, or I got to wait. If the VWAP is down here, I'll go to a 5-minute chart. This isn't a good example right now, but yeah. So if I was down here looking to get in a trade, I need to have at least a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. So this risk reward ratio tool, another great tool that I use. So if I had, there's the VWAP right there. So I would have to put my stop, and you can see the number right here. So this says that if I have my stop here and my entry here, then let's say, just for sake of argument, that I got in right here, right? I would have to, in my plan, I have to have at least one reward to one risk. So in this case, I do. So I could get in down here if I was going to place my stop here. But if I was going to place my stop here, I would only have 0.48 R's to the VWAP. So I couldn't get in that trade. And I can tell you, if I got into this trade right now, right here, beginning of the day, there's no way in heck I would have had my stop here. I would have had my stop here. So I wouldn't have been able to get into this trade. That's just my plan. That's not necessarily in everybody's plan, but the VWAP, the point I'm making with the VWAP is it's a great indicator. Like when you get a strong close above the VWAP, this is a hammer candle. I told you guys and girls in the beginning, in the morning, that a hammer candle is one of the candles that we love so much, especially when it has a lot of volume. This is a great place right here to go long. This would have been a great setup. If we were looking at this, this would have been a great setup right here, something like this. So get in 95.17, have our stop probably about $1 away down here at 94.17, and you got all this volume coming in. We're going to get a retest down into here. We'll probably get down here, retest, maybe retest this 10 moving average, 20 moving average. And then this is another great place to buy. When you see this kind of indicator, when the 10 EMA, 10 red line crosses the VWAP, that's gorgeous right there. That's a gorgeous place to buy. And you can see a lot of people, you had this hammer, another little hammer with volume. This thing is just going to giddy up and go now. Let me see. I know Danny is taking care of people. Jason says, I literally did that like 5 minutes ago. Okay. Don't know exactly what you're talking about, Jason, but I'm glad that you're on the same sheet of music as me. The AMD setup. Okay. Awesome. So we have Jason just got in this trade. I don't know what his exact entry is or his stop, but he has something like this. This also, I know I'm going through so much, but I am just giving you like a little taste of things that we do and things that we look at and processes that we have. With AMD, we had this huge bullish candle, came back and retested, and then it just giddy up and went, right? So because of the VWAP, I couldn't take it until it got up here. It's above the VWAP, great place, great hammer. But right here, this is called an S curve. And Jeremy teaches that when you see S curves, that's a good indication that a pattern is just going to continue and go. So we love playing S curves, and you'll see more of this during the week when we get more into the trading and not so much the teaching. But you'll see a lot of the moderators will get into trades looking at this S curve. So they'll look for a place where the S curve is going to break, and they say, okay, I'm in at the S curve, and they'll take the trade bullish. So good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take a sip of coffee real quick. Taylor asks, is the S curve purely bullish? No, great question, Taylor. So that S curve can be when you're in a bearish trade too. So right here, you have, this is an S curve, right, in the bullish direction. So you can have the same thing in the bearish direction, right? You go short on a stock, it comes back, it retests, and then we're looking for a place in here to take the trade down, further down south. Go on down south, Taylor. Does that make sense? Okay, good to go. We're jamming. So this is one thing, a little bit of salesmanship here. And I'm not a salesman by any means, but this is not sales like go out and buy stuff. This is what you get when you get in the real life trading community. You get people like, and I see a bunch of people like, Danny is helping people. I saw Rox talking to people. I see Ladi talking to people. All those are very experienced traders, right? And not only do you get that in the chat pane, but you get that in Slack. And we're just one big happy community. And you get everybody's trying to help everybody. And when people like moderators, when I'm too busy, not too busy, but when I'm busy, for instance, getting into a trade or I'm answering somebody else and you have a question, I mean, we have that whole community out there to help one another out. And that's whether it's day trading, swing trading, and boys and girls, again, I can't tell you how much I feel blessed just to be part of this community, just being in Slack. People, they don't only just talk about stocks, but they talk about things in life. Sometimes people need a little bit of motivation or a little bit of encouragement. And, right now we got about 550, best friends in Slack. It's just a great place to be, great community, uplifting, always positive, never a negative towards anybody, right? It's always positive and uplifting. So yeah, can't express that enough. You're going to hear more and more about that. So right now we're looking at AMD. We got this bullish trend coming on. We got this retest of the VWAP and the 10 moving average. And let me see, just catch up. Mike M, he's another one. Mike M and Patrick. Mike M, if you look at Slack, Mike M every day is all over talking to people, suggesting things, helping them out with their trade setups, the whole bit. So even Maloney is even here. She's in the chat pane now. Hello, girl. Thank you for joining us. Another awesome trader. She is just not only a killer person, but she is a killer trader. She just got back real life trading, had a retreat in North Carolina. She was part of that retreat. And I know she is a different woman now coming out of that retreat. Let me go there real quick. So on our real life trading website, so we started off looking at this open house that everybody signed up for. Of course, this right here, you received the brand new swing trading and day trading strategy book. I can't even express to you how much money that is worth right there. You know what that's worth? Not worth, but what this is right here, that's Matt, Jeremy, and all the moderators, right? Telling you what their favorite strategies are. It gives you a recipe for success. And you guys just got that for free. So no matter what happens to you, hold on to that for your dear life, because I can tell you the worth of those two strategy books, ebooks, is just, I mean, it's incredible. I can't believe, actually, I had no idea that you guys were getting that free. And what an unbelievable resource. But the other thing I just want to talk about real quick is our website. So I know everybody, I'm sure, has been on our website. You see all the different classes that we have. You have our blog, you know, Jeremy, Matt, everybody else writing different articles on things. And then this is a place where we put all our stock reviews. So you can go in here and look at our stock reviews. Hey, Danny, can you come on the line? You guys got to go to this podcast. Danny, who is coming on after me to moderate, also, he hosts this Pivot podcast with Tracy Ball, who is on the Real Life Trading staff. She is a mentor and an unbelievable mentor. And if Danny is here, I want him to talk about this Pivot podcast because, whew, man, what a thing of beauty. Danny, are you here?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it's every Thursday, 4:15 to 4:45 Eastern. It's 100% free. We shoot that out live stream on YouTube. You could also find the podcast in Apple Podcast and Spotify, and probably a few other places that I don't even know, is wherever you guys find your podcast from, I'm sure. But it's geared really toward a lot of new traders and even some experienced traders that just depending on your time frame as far as how long you've traded. We go through a lot of things to learn. So last Thursday we did a full podcast on the R system, kind of going into detail about managing your risk and basically making sure that you're not overweight in certain trades so that you could actually grow your balance when your trades aren't working. And then we go through just the mentality and struggles that traders might face and what their expectations should be as you're trading. So yeah, if you guys want to tune in, it's we're doing a full season. I think we're probably going most of the year. We might have after 26 episodes, maybe a week or two off or something like that. But it is awesome. And then just subscribe to the Real Life Trading channel. You get the notifications when we go live on YouTube, and then just like the videos. This way it'll push it up in your algorithm so you don't miss it as well.
Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
You guys check this out, especially if I went too fast and you didn't really understand our R system. Again, you can email me or go listen to Danny and Tracy talk about it on this podcast. So yeah, great deal. Thanks, Danny. So you can see this is a nice place where we have all our videos, a lot of how to do things, load more. And then we have our upcoming events. You can see our open house here. Jeremy has a new hedging with options class starting today, as a matter of fact. So if you haven't done so, go ahead and RSVP to that. We have these meetups. So people in the RLT community now are hosting virtual meetups. So for instance, like Danny, he lives in Pennsylvania. He could, as a Real Life Trading member, he could host a Zoom meeting and for people that live in Pennsylvania and nearby towns. And so we trade in these small little communities, and we have accountability partners. We have these little other groups that like to meet on the side. So That's why, man, this is not about just trading. It's a lifestyle. I can tell you, it's a community. And I know it's hard to get a feel for this by me just talking about it, but I tell you, if you want to change your life, I don't know how the saying goes, but it's something about, if you want to be successful, or, you got to hang around those type of successful people, right? You don't want to hang around bank robbers and criminals, right? You want to hang around those who have dreams and want to do well in life, want to talk about financial freedom, want to be free in life. So I just want to show you this. Here's my RLT military fast track program. So that's going to be focused primarily just on military, but everybody is welcome into it. If you want to take a look at that, I'm going to be really taking people from point A to point B, from the beginner all the way through the intermediate level, and hand-holding them, if you would, to get them to a point of success after 2 months, 8 months, a very focused one-on-one type of mentorship program. Then we have Jeremy's Money Grows on Trees. That is an unbelievable life-changing event if you guys want to check that out. But what I wanted to do is go down here to the bottom and make sure that you saw this. This is a link to all our online training, our links here to different things on the website. Here's some great ebooks. I mean, these right here, oh my gosh. You got to download these things and keep these things. All of them are just unreal. Here's the one we talked about, gaps, earlier. Candlesticks. This is a great, great book for you. Fibonacci, if you're beginning, it's something that you'll learn later on. So that's great. And you know what got me into trading was I initially read Jeremy's book on retire at 3K. That's what initially got me into trading. Well, my wife actually got me into trading. My wife started taking classes before me, and it only took her like a year and a half to talk me into finally saying, okay, I'll go back to school and learn. I mean, here I was like, 50 years old, and I was like, old dogs can't learn new tricks. So nah, I don't want to go back to school. Anyway, one more thing I wanted to show you real quick. Let me go here. Let me go here, because you guys need to know the resources that RLT has available. If you haven't already done so, please go to RLT YouTube, right? And sign up for a subscriber. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not going to bug you, just because you sign up with emails or whatever. But this is the place this is the depository for all of our videos. I'd probably say we have thousands of videos. If you have a question in your mind about, how to use TradingView, or, how to set up interactive brokers, or, I want to see what Ricky's doing down in Australia, or whatever, just go to Real Life Trading YouTube channel and come in here into the search, and then you can, search whatever. Sometimes this search you have to play with it. And, if you can't find the exact video, then just message one of us or email me or whatever you want to do, and we can help you out. Sometimes you just got to use different words to find exactly what you're looking for. But I can pretty much tell you, we have videos on pretty much everything that we do. Hanging 10 asked me, do I have a day job too? Funny thing you say that, Hanging 10. I am having to go to my job this morning, actually. Yes, I work for the government, and I used to be in the Marine Corps. I retired out of the Marine Corps. I now work as a civilian for the military. And yeah, I work full time. I got 5 kids. I'm a moderator. I'm a mentor. I'm a coach. And if I can trade, and if I can trade profitably, so can anybody in this room. No excuse. And from Johnny, you're always going to get straight to the point how I feel. So Hanging 10 says, all right, he says he's in a meeting. He's in a work meeting. So he or she exactly knows what I'm talking about. Yep. I'm a trader. So what I do is I trade in the morning and then I go to work. If I go into work, I leave the house about 7 o'clock in the morning. So I day trade in the morning and then I get home, I have family time, I eat dinner, and then I set up whatever kind of swing trade that I can. So yeah, if you guys can, then I mean, if I can, you can. There you go. Sorry if I'm missing a bunch of chats. I know I'm trying to focus and make sure that you guys see all the things that we do and all the resources we have. After all of this, we're going to start getting more and more into trading. So I appreciate you guys just hanging out there with me. Look at Patrick. Patrick made 1R on Jay Mua. Let's go look at Patrick's. This is Patrick's favorite stock. He has probably made thousands and thousands of dollars from this one stock. So that's a good point. Thanks for talking. Remind me about that. So people like Patrick, they will play a stock or two or three or four that are their favorite stocks, because what they do is they learn exactly how that baby is going to react. So Patrick plays, this is his favorite. It's his automatic teller machine, right? He's made thousands of dollars from this baby and continues to do so. I know people like Terry, he plays well built. That's Terry is associated from a work perspective, so he understands well built, and he's made just I don't want to brag on him, but thousands and thousands of dollars from well built. Lottie plays plug and ENPH, and so yeah, everybody usually has a stock or two or three or four that they're absolute favorites. Jeremy's has been AMD, and that's why we've been playing AMD here for the last about a month or so. I can tell you AMD is pretty difficult situation right now, just because it's going sideways. It's not a difficult situation. Actually, it's a good situation. If you're a channel player, you know, like we talked about before, if you're playing the highs and lows, so great place for AMD. But in my opinion, just my humble opinion, I think what we're going to do is we're going to see this channel, and then I think AMD, we're going to punch out of AMD and we're just going to cruise. AMD on the cutting edge of technology, and one of my favorite plays, one of my favorite stocks that I always play. And yeah, I'm looking for a blowout. I think, just me personally, just my ideas. I mean, of course, we could have anything, but 100 is this, you know, solid rock wall that AMD has been hitting its head against. People are going to take profits here. I think what we're going to end up doing one day is maybe, you know, come up here, people take some more profits, and then we're going to see a gap. We're going to see a gap above 100, and you're going to see that FOMO that we were talking about before, and people are just going to pile on, I think. So it's not going to give us a great signal, because I think what it's going to do, it's just going to all of a sudden gap, and it's going to gap up above a pivot point, and it's just going to giddy up and go. Hello, Jennifer. So Jennifer is saying AMD may be a new higher low on the 3. Let's go look at what Jennifer is talking about real quick. So early in the morning, I leave the pre-market on. I go back and forth to it. This yellow area is pre-market after the market ends on the day. And then the darker yellow is the pre-market. I think it's starting at midnight or so, if I'm not mistaken. I'm Hawaii time, so I always get screwed up on times. But Jennifer's saying, so we got, great call, Miss Jennifer. So what Jennifer's talking about is we're making higher lows right here, right? So we got a lower low and now a higher low. So that's a good bullish sign. We're making higher highs, right? So, and you got this VWAP. See, this VWAP, in my own experience, that's why I have it in my plan. Let me get rid of all that ugliness. So I like to look for a weight of a nice close above VWAP usually when I take trades. This is a nice high wave candle. You see volume coming in. So a lot of people like to take breakouts of high waves, right? Put their entry there, put their stop down here because this has already made this higher low, right? So it shouldn't come down here. If we come down here, then we're definitely wrong on the call, right? And that's why if you put your stop down here, we try to always lose less than an R. So that's probably what Jennifer is looking at. And Simon says, so Simon lives in Italy, man. Simon loves to come into the market. He usually plays for about an hour or so, makes his R, and then he's off, man. It's, what time is it? Italy, it's 4:30 p.m. So Simon's off to probably maybe have an evening cocktail or, you know, go spend time with his family, go eat some dinner, go relax, go look at some charts for maybe some swing trades. So Simon's one of my favorite traders. All right. Cindy says, I don't understand what the VWAP is. All right. So let's go look at what Cindy's talking about. Cindy, all the VWAP is, it's just the average. It's a weighted average. It takes the price range of these candles and it takes a weighted average of those. And that's what that is. It's all these indicators are just mathematical averages of the stock price. So like the 10 moving average uses the last 10 days. The blue is the 20. It uses the last 20 days, and the green is the 50, and it uses the last 50 days of average. And for the reason why we use them in trading is because a lot of people use them, including me. I use them as places where to get into a trade or to get out of a trade or where to put your stops, et cetera, et cetera. So the purple line is just volume weighted average of these, the price of the stock. So they take, it's a mathematical formula. If you want to, you could go to something like Investopedia and see the mathematical equation. But I can tell you from what I've heard from people who used to be work in the stock market, it's a place where brokers look to buy and sell stocks. They like to make sure that when they're buying or selling that it's somewhere close to the VWAP, because when it gets far from the VWAP is like a magnet. The price always comes back to the VWAP. So like when you get far from the VWAP, like here, you don't want to buy up here, right? You want to buy close to the VWAP. Does that help you out, Cindy? Want to make sure that answers your question. Make sure no questions go unanswered. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'm one of those things that I also do is I go into Google and Investopedia all the time. If you can't find a video on it or you don't want to spend the time looking at a video, just go into Google or Investopedia and check it out. So you see this nice high wave candle. Now we have a couple inside day candles. It looks like it's trying to break out of here, right? So what I was saying is a lot of people are looking to take this breakout here. That would be a place 95. So down here, potentially have about $1 on AMD. We like to use $1 stop on AMD because that way it allows us to move our stops. So if you have an initial stop here, then you'll see us in a trade, and I can go ahead and back trade one of these, but we can move our stop, and you'll see in the future, you're going to see us doing something like this. This is our initial stop. So once we get a breakout of here, I would take my stop and probably move it up in here. Once we get a breakout up in here, because what that does is then instead of losing one full R, if it comes all the way down, then we're only going to lose about 7/10 of an R, right? And with trading, whether it's day swing trading, right, we have the experience to understand that that's the thing that makes trading not betting. When people say, well, trading is just betting. No, it's not, because in betting, you can't control your risk. Here in trading, we control our risk. So when this stock gets up in here, right, what we're going to do is we would move our stop. We'd move our stop from here to here. And then once it gives me another pivot point, then I would move my stop from there. I would move my stop underneath another pivot point. So now we can't lose once you move your stop up in here. And that's what allows us, if you're losing less than you're always winning, you're always going to be profitable in the stock market. And you can be a 50-50 trader, meaning you can win 50% of the time and you can lose 50% of the time. And if you're mitigating your risks, trying to lose less than 0.7 R or less on every trade that you get in, then you're going to come out and you're going to be a profitable trader at the end of the day. So does that make sense for everybody? Hope that everybody's tracking that. Take a little sip of coffee. Get caught up here on the chat pane. So here you can see on AMD, this high wave candle, we would have been looking to take this high wave because like I think Jennifer was saying, we're making higher lows here. So good place to go long here, but we wanted to wait above the VWAP and above this high wave candle to go long. And you can see exactly why we want to do that, right? Because it's got to get up here and potentially make higher highs before we're totally bullish on it. So anytime that you get into a trade when you're below this higher high, it's a little bit more risky than it is when you're getting in, you know, above the high. So that's why I wanted to wait until we got above that high wave candle. I would hope I would keep watching this if I was going to trade this during the day. Of course, I haven't looked at my total analysis, but this would be beautiful because this now, if this kept going, this gives us the opportunity to lose less than 1 R, right? If this breaks out in here, up into here, then that gives us that opportunity to move our stop. And now we would lose less than 1 R. So that's how we trade. We are always mitigate our risks as much as possible. When you do that and you're making an R plus, we get into every trade. What we look for is we look for a 2-to-1 return. So we like to look for, actually it's about 2.4. But if we have less than like, for instance, it depends on the person and depends on their plan. But for instance, if I have like a 1-to-1, if I say, okay, I only have about a 1-to-1 to my target and that's all I'm going to get out of the trade, why would you want to do that, right? When there are other trades where you can get 1 to 2.4 or higher risk reward. So when we get in trades, we're always looking for a place where we can make more than what we can lose. So Taylor's saying, you mean only do this on a day trade and not a swing trade? Oh, okay. He's talking to Ladi. So just in case anybody's wondering if you do this on swing trades, for me, I don't know if that's what Taylor's talking about because he's talking to Ladi right now, but do the same thing on swing trades, right? If you're looking to get into AMD on a swing trade, right, and you think that this is going to be a target of 100, right, you wouldn't want to put in a trade and do something like this, right? If you think your stop is going to be down here and your target is only here, why would you want to get into that trade, right? If you're pretty sure that this is going to be a target again, $100, and you feel like this is a good place because this is underneath a pivot point, you know, here, depending on how risk tolerant you are, whether you put your stop here or whether you put your stop here, you wouldn't want to get into this trade right now because there's not enough reward, right? You only want to get into a trade if you have something that's going to give you 2+ R's back to your risk. And that's how you become profitable. Makes sense, everybody? Hope everybody is tracking. Okay. So we went over charting software. We went over resources. We went over Slack. We went over gaps. All right. So Lottie, Johnny, show how a setup, support, and resistance lines for Taylor. So Taylor, what stock are you looking at? So I can help you out. We can go ahead and set that baby up. Lottie's talking to Lucien. So Taylor, for instance, I got stopped out on J Mua. All right. So is that a day trade or was that on a long swing? Okay. And what was your entry and stop? See if I can give you a hand here. Was around 43. So he's saying he got in around 40, 43-ish. So you got in on this candle right here. And then you got stopped out at 41. That was before a huge run up 60. So this is J Mua. So you're saying you got in, was it right here? Okay. So I'm not quite sure what his entry, I don't know if he got in here or what he got in. Around the 15th of December? Is that what you're talking about? So we're talking about Taylor swing trade that he got in 15th of January. All right, let's go look. Let's go look and see what Taylor's doing. So 15th of January, he got in about 42 and a half. He's saying 43 in there, somewhere in there. And then what was your stop, Taylor? Or did you not have a stop? So 15-minute chart, easier to see, he's saying. Let me get out of here. So here. So Taylor got in somewhere around here is what he's saying. And 41.50 was his stop. So yeah, for us, Taylor, sometimes I don't know how long I have to wait to confirm and to get a good entry. So that's Adriana. Okay, sounds good. Let me finish talking to Taylor on his setup. So for everybody's sake, this was Taylor's setup. So Taylor, if this was me, and the first thing that you do, obviously, or I obviously do, is I look for places of support and resistance, right? So not too great of an example because, again, we're at all-time highs. And I should let Patrick teach this. Patrick's the trader for J Mua. But anyway, you got a little bit of support right there, right? And that's probably maybe why you saw, this interesting play here. But if it was me and I was getting in at $42.50 or $43, if I was doing that, I would have had my stop probably down here. So, yeah, having a stop like this on a swing trade is just too close, right? We always want to look for, when we get into an entry, we want to look for pivot points. And what I mean by pivot points, this is a pivot point, right? This is a pivot point. So I always look to make sure that if I'm getting in a trade, that my stop is, depending on the situation, I really like to put my stops down below 2 pivot points usually. Oops, I'm on my, get rid of that baby. All right. So I would have had my stop right there because I look, when I get into a trade, I look to have my stop down below 2 pivot points. So that would have been the swing trade that I got into. So if you're asking why you got stopped out, I would say that you just had your stop just a little too close. Does that make sense to everybody? And this you'll learn if you're a beginner trader. I know you probably have a fire hose going on right now that you're drinking from a fire hose. And we're going over so much, but day trading is fast and quick, and the decisions that you have to make are exponentially faster than if you're doing swing trades. So this is just Johnny Warko, and this is like, if I have my friends, my family, I tell them all, hey, you got to learn how to trade stocks, swing trade them first before you get into day trading, because day trading is so dang hard because it's fast. It's not hard, it's fast, and you have to make a lot of decisions, but you have to have a lot of experience and you have to have a lot of screen time. But learning how to swing trade, learning how to put your stops, at the proper place are the things that you need to get a good foundation at, so you can learn how to then day trade. Okay, so that's just Johnny Warko. That's what I advocate. Some people are a lot smarter than me, and they can like multitask, and they can learn how to swing trade and day trade at the same time. I'm a rock, like I told you. I'm a basic, simple guy, and I just like it slow and mow, or mow and slow. So Taylor, does that, I hope that helps. I hope that helps everybody else. And through real life trading, through being around us, you'll learn like where we think entries would go and where they shouldn't. This was a great entry, Taylor. I think you read it beautifully. I mean, you broke out of this little bit of resistance here. You're at support, you're above support. You had this little bit of a double bottom. You had this high wave. So it was a great trade, man. It was just, unfortunately, you had your stop too tight. So Terry's saying that's the advantage of swing trading room, lots of education and great trades every day. Yes, sirree. Thank you, Terry. So Brian says GameStop just announced that they landed on Mars safely. Absolutely. If you guys haven't been tracking GameStop, so GameStop has just been on the rip. Look at what GameStop is doing. So I want to reiterate one more thing. So just so you're not getting frustrated and why I'm not taking day trades. Again, especially day one, we're at ground zero. This is really just an introduction for everybody, kind of like the things that we look at, how we trade. And you're going to see, I don't want everybody to get frustrated. Like when Danny comes on, or Jeremy comes on, or any of the other moderators, we all trade a little bit different. So it's all about you gaining experience and gaining your own trading personality, because I can tell you, you will never, ever trade exactly like Jeremy. I mean, what a great example or a great idol to have, right? But your personality over time will develop, and you'll end up doing things a little bit different than anybody else here in any of the rooms. So today is just a day of this morning anyway, kicking back, showing you guys and girls about all the different resources we have, the community, et cetera, et cetera. So Adriana, I know I had to come back to you. I forgot you wanted to look at a good entry on something. So can you let me know what you're looking at? I can go in and take a look for you, what you were asking about. So Adriana, Lottie's saying that Adriana, she doesn't know sometimes how long she has to wait to confirm to get a good entry. So it just depends, and you'll learn on this, and it depends on whether you're day trading or swing trading. Do you have an example? We can go look at it if you have a good example, Adriana. When to confirm, because confirmation means a lot of different things to different people. And so depending on how you trade, it's going to indicate or determine where you get in and how you get in. For me, for instance, right, it's all about, in this example, I'm looking to make sure that this makes higher lows, because you have a low here, right? This made now another pivot, but it didn't continue bullish. So that's why I had my entry above this. Potential entry is either going to come from either candlesticks, or it's going to come from chart patterns, or you're going to have your entries where the moving averages are. So a lot of people, most of the moderators, they'll always look to buy low and sell high. But I can't tell you right now and give you an exact answer, because there's so many things that depend on each different stock, like AMD, for instance, right? AMD, we always want to buy low and sell high, but we use the RSI indicator, which is this indicator down here, as a point to know when we should buy and when we should sell. So when we look for, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong indicator. I wonder how that changed on me. There you go. My RSI is here. So when RSI on AMD is high, that is not a good place where we look to buy. When RSI is down low, that is a great place for us to look to buy. Another tool that I use, and this is probably going to get more into the confusing range than anything else, but every stock has an average range, right? The way an average range is figured out is it takes, in my case, I use an average true range indicator with a 14-day average. So what this does is it looks back the last 14 days and it says, okay, what is the average price movement in the last 14 days of AMD? So if you look over here on my chart, it tells you that AMD on the average moves $3.30 every day. Okay. Hope that makes sense right there. RSI, Ryan, is just a relative strength indicator. It just shows you how strong the move is. So you'll see down when it's down below and it starts moving up, it's an indicator that it's a really strong move. When it's up high and it's coming down, it's telling you that a lot of people are selling off. Okay, that's the plain and simple explanation of the relative strength indicator. So again, it's just an average. Yep. So we're tracking at 330 is the average true range. And the reason why this is important, how I use it, and I use it because I come in here and say, okay, AMD is going to move potentially $3.30 in a day. So here's the high right now. So it potentially could come all the way down $3.30. That average price move would bring it to potentially, it could come all the way down here, right? So would this be a great place to buy AMD? Well, it made higher highs. So a lot of people would look to buy AMD down here, because I can tell you that's the average true range. If it comes all the way down here in the day, a lot of people will be looking to buy here. If this RSI indicator is down here below 30, that's another indicator where we'll look to buy. But what we do is we'll set up an entry right here and look at the 200. That's another great place to buy. So entries is not a black and white thing. It comes with experience, and that's why our community is so great. You know, if I was looking to buy AMD long here, buying low, selling high, I'd put an entry in at 91.90. You have this support right here, right? Coming, all these people that buy will be trapped, right? If it comes down here, bounces off the 200, I'd put if I was going to get into it, I would go a dollar stop, which would be 80, 90, somewhere like that. And that's how I would play it. So yeah, Adriana, it comes with experience. It comes with understanding where the good places are to buy. And then like trading personality, I can tell you, like Jeremy doesn't use average true range. A lot of the other moderators don't use average true range, but I use average true range not only to tell me where to buy, but I use average true range. Like, what if it bounces out of here now? Let's just say AMD bounces off the 100, right? Then I would use the average true range indicator to say, okay, up here is $3.30. Let me see if I have any good targets that I can trade to, because I trade using the 15-minute predominantly, the 15-minute chart when I'm looking for targets. And what I'm looking for pivot points. Like you can see, can you see where this pivot point right here was a great target for people to sell? Because people will sell at pivot points. So here's a pivot point, but you can see AMD could make it past that pivot point. So I'll make a decision and say, okay, maybe I'll take, part of my profits off here if it gets back up here. And then I'll look for the next pivot point. And I'll say, okay, can AMD make it all the way up to $98 today? Well, maybe, but not probably, because here's the $3.33 move that it may make. Remember, the average true range is just that. It's just an average, because if you look at this chart right here, this is the daily chart, which it takes the average true ranges. You can see, for instance, this candle was, oops, wrong thingamajiggy. So this candle on this day was $4.26. This candle right here was a lot smaller. This candle was a lot smaller. So that average true range is nothing more than the average over the last 14 days. But for me, it's a great indicator of where to go for targets and where to go for stops. So we'll get more into that. You'll see a heck of a lot more when I start doing more trading, actually. I'll be back on the mic on Friday. Excuse me, I'm starting to lose my voice. But maybe Danny could show you that, or one of the other moderators can show that to you during the rest of the week if you want to learn that. If not, shoot me a message and I'll get more into it with you. But yeah, it's a great tool that I use in conjunction with RSI and all the other indicators to understand where to get in and to get out. Let me take a sip of coffee real quick. All right. Let me make sure nobody else has questions. Adriana, okay, good to go. All right. If anybody has questions, please keep them coming. I'm going to start looking at some stocks now. So let me go back and look at some of the trades that I wanted to look at. So at this point, I will start going into some of the trades that I had set up earlier, or looking to set up earlier in the day. So you saw Corsair was a retest gap, and it pretty much is retesting right now. All right. And then Maxar, again, it was a gap and go, still retesting. I'll go back and I'll check the indices, we call them, the SPY and the Qs, to see exactly what they're doing. So it looks like right now the SPY is pulling back. So we gapped up, don't forget, had a little bit of gap up, inside day candle. And now it looks like we are potentially looking to close this gap right here. Remember earlier in the morning when I told you that the SPY likes to come back and close gaps? Sometimes they don't do them this fast. Sometimes they trick people, but I'd be looking for this thing to fill this gap, especially we got this 10 right here that's going to hold up the SPY. So what I'm expecting the rest of the day is a potential pullback and maybe fill this gap and bounce off this 20 moving average, hopefully. I hope we don't get all the way down here, that's for sure. But I hope what we'll do is maybe fill this gap and then throw a wick, and then tomorrow get another gap, because right now people may be taking profits. So you're probably seeing some selling coming in right now. So this would be a time where I'd be very careful. And, you know, when I'm looking at stocks to go bullish on, you kind of want to determine what the rest of the market is going to do. The other thing that we love to do, we love to look for stocks that are doing opposite of what the market is doing, because then you're not relying on the market to drive the price of that stock. So, for instance, you can see Upwork, right? Upwork is up over 5% right now. So Upwork is really strong. We had that beautiful, remember that beautiful retest gap this morning? It retested, went all the way up here. Remember, this was the highs. So people towards $46 decided to start taking profits, right? Came up here, busted the $45 mark. Buyers came in, and then people started taking profits, and that's all the profit taking that you see coming in now. So Dennis is asking, is the average true range similar to what you get from Bollinger Bands? Well, great question. Let's see, Bollinger Bands. Let me throw some Bollingers on there. So Bollinger Bands, let's look at that, Dennis. Great question. So Bollinger Bands, this is a 20 on the Bollinger. So if you look at that versus an average true range. So the average true range is really telling you what the stock may do in one day, right? On the day. So it's not really telling you anything in correlation to the Bollinger Bands, except for the fact that maybe in this case, you're gapping up into the Bollingers, right? And because a lot of times you can see stocks move with that upper band, but they could move, you know, in the upper portions of that band or outside of that band. So not a real direct correlation, but you can see in this case, average true range. Let me go. I got to pull on my other indicator. I got to go back to Guarco. So let's see. So over here, it shows you the average true range of Upworks. In this case, Dennis, is $2.74. So again, I use that in conjunction with, you know, where I'm going to look for targets. And the reason why I don't like looking for targets is because, you know, I use my 15-minute chart, right? And Upwork is at all-time high. So I have nothing to go off of as far as targets is concerned. So you're kind of going by the luck of the Irish, really, by when you're trading all-time highs. And that's why I don't trade all-time highs in the beginner room, because I like to try to teach people how I do it, because I'm successful and there's nothing over here all-time highs. But if you go back to the 274 and use your average true range indicator, and this is a great question, Dennis, to show people. So look how much Upworks has moved in a day. So do you think that Upworks could move any more today? Probably not, right? This is telling you, and if you go back to the Bollinger Band, this is telling you probably Upworks is done for the day. Now, does that mean that you can't trade Upworks the rest of the day? No, because it might pull back down here and you may get a great opportunity to buy low and sell high again. But what this is saying is, you know, this is probably a good reason why people sold off up here, is because if the average day on it is only $2.74, they were probably looking for that to use as a target. Does that help out, Dennis? Everybody's chatty, so chatty. Yeah, so I would say your Bollinger Bands is a great tool to use if you want to see, you know, where it is in relation to the bands. But you could use your average true range in conjunction with that. Like, is it possible, you know, if it was down here, you know, is it possible that it break up into the high of the band in one day? Probably not. So, yep. So let me give you this analogy, because this is what I use in my mentor group with everybody. And for a lot of you, I could very well understand right now why you are maybe saying, whew, there is so much to learn. And there is. But let me give you this analogy. And that's why you have us. That's why you have people like me and Danny, with 10 years plus experience teaching you, telling you what hasn't worked for them and what works for them. But let me give you this analogy so you don't get frustrated. So in the military, for instance, intelligence analyst, right? They got to go to school. And they first go to school for I think it's about a year plus to learn how to be an intel analyst, right? And then what happens is they'll graduate school and then they'll go out into their military community and start putting their trade kind of to work. But what happens is they get put underneath, other more experienced senior intel analysts that have been doing that for years. So they do that. And then what an intel analyst's job is to gather information. So they want to gather as much information as they can about a particular subject. So I wish you could see me right now. I have my arms around. So they're gathering as much information about a situation as they can. They're taking that information, then they're taking their schooling and they're mashing and molding that information to come out with a product. And that product is, okay, based on this information that I have reviewed and analyzed, this is my opinion of what's going to happen. Okay. And that recommendation goes forward to leadership and they use that to make decisions. Think about what I just told you. We are technical analysts. Exactly what I told you about an intel analyst is relevant 100% to the same thing that we do for a living. So what did we talk about? We talked about an intel analyst going to school for a year plus. We talked about an intel analyst going out into his community and then going underneath the wing of somebody who's been doing intel analysis for years, right? And then what happens is they learn the trade and they're able to eventually come out with products that are recommendations for their leadership. It's the exact same thing in trading. You guys learn, you come in. Jeremy will tell you, it took Jeremy 4.5 years to become consistently profitable trading in the market, right? Jeremy didn't have real life trading. Jeremy didn't have the mentors that you guys and girls have. So you got to have some patience. You got to understand that you're going to have to put in the work. This is a profession and it's going to take a lot of schooling, a lot of trial by error, but you have the best community in the world. I will tell you, in the world, if you are serious about this and want to learn. So give me a 1. Please give me a 1 after that whole deal. If that resonated with you, if you understand what I'm talking about. And I can't stress enough that you have people, even in the community. I look at people like Lottie helping people out. I mean, where else are you going to find that kind of community and that love, that teamwork? You're just not going to find it. And this is the place to be. You are at an embryonic place in real life trading right now. This is the time to come in because we are going to touch the world. I can tell you, Jeremy has the goal of within 5 years of reaching 1 million people. So I can tell you, we're full bent to leather, if that's the right way to say it. Full bent to what's the expression? I'm tongue twisted now. Anyway, we are moving out, and we are going to help as many people as we can achieve financial freedom and become free. That's our goal. Hell bent for leather. Thank you, Marta. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sky right there, my man. See Sky in the chat pane. He is in my mentorship group. Ask Sky if he is gaining any knowledge from all the mentors and moderators here at Real Life Trading. Sky's only been trading, I think, for, what is it now? Is it even 6 months? I don't even think it's 6 months yet. Is it, Sky? 4 months. So, yep. So Patrick Sullivan says, look what we were talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Look what we were talking about. Exactly what we were talking about. So yeah, man, what a flush, Patrick. Thanks for catching that. Yep, filled that gap. Coming down, look for a bounce here. We're looking at some nice support down here. So hopefully this is just a daily flush of all these people that came into the market. Remember, we talked earlier also about this evening star reversal. So what a powerful chart pattern that is, right? Meaning you get that at a high after a bunch of people have bought. You get that at a high and boom, you're going to get some selling off. And that's what we're seeing right now. Woo! All right. Sounds good. I have about 50 minutes left with you boys and girls. In 50 minutes, Danny is going to come on and probably show y'all how to get into some nice, beautiful afternoon trades. But I kind of had to cover down on all the fundamental stuff, and we're just continuing at that slow-mo pace. Let's go look back at AMD, and I'm sure AMD, aren't we glad that we waited on AMD before we got into that trade? Remember that high wave candle that we were talking about? So high wave here, we were talking about earlier. We wanted to wait above the VWAP. So I think it was, I forget now who it was asking about that VWAP. Yeah, that's how we use the VWAP. I look for a close above the VWAP personally. That's what I like to. A lot of times what we'll see is we'll get like, even though you did have this close here, you'll have a fake close, and then you'll never make this, you'll make a lower high. So remember here, we're making higher highs. So a little bit more risky here, right? What we talked about, because you haven't made this higher high. But this would have been a great trade. If we would have broke out of here at this high on this high wave, that's a candle I look for. Hammer candle right there off the 10. That would have been a beautiful place to get into a trade. So bam, you're looking at Tesla. I made some money on Tesla on Friday, and now people are selling off. So BAM is probably looking at, is this a good time to potentially buy low and sell high? So one thing I'll do is I can tell just looking at this that it's made its move for the day. So this is why I use my average true range indicator. I have this on my chart, and I'll keep it on my chart, and I'll keep using it. So, we've already moved using this little price range indicator right here on TradingView. You can see we've moved $60 today. So again, average true range. Would you expect this thing to break out of 900? Probably not, right? And what a gorgeous, beautiful place to trade to, 900. You think people will be trading to 1,000 again soon? I think so. So Patrick says Tesla earnings this week. If you're thinking about trade, yes, sirree, we got that down there, bam. If you're looking to get into that on a swing trade, we don't suggest getting into swing trades that close to earnings. Thank you, Patrick Sullivan. So, again, we haven't really even talked about it, but again, we want to always buy low and sell high. So depending on what BAM's looking for, if he's looking for a swing or a day, is there room back in the day? I'll tell you probably what I would be thinking right now is, Tesla is going to hover in here the rest of the day, right? Because I don't think it's going to break out of 900. Could it? Sure. It could prove me wrong. Will it? Probably not, I don't think. So you got to ask yourself, okay, where do you want to buy? So is this a great place to buy low? Heck yeah. I mean, you see a lot of people, look at what the volume The volume's coming in, people looking to buy at a low point. For a beginner, it's a little bit more of an advanced trade because look what you have. You have, this huge run up, and then you have this huge run down, and then you're already close to the VWAP. So what risk reward could you get out of this? I don't know. There's a tool called Fibonacci, and you guys and girls that are new will learn about it later on. But I use my Fibonacci tool to look and see potentially. It tells us Fibonacci is a rule of averages also, and it says the theory about everything happens in thirds. So this Fibonacci tool is broken down into these thirds, and I use this Fibonacci tool to tell me where something could potentially retrace. So things love to retrace back up to the 618. And that would be, if you look at this move, this is basically a little bit more than a third of the move up. This is halfway up, and this is 0.618 up. So the theory is that these, everything in the theory of Mr. Fibonacci is everything in life moves in these ratios. So when I'm looking for a retracement play, I'll use my Fibonacci tool, which is a little bit more of an advanced tool to use that you guys can learn about a little bit later once you get into learning the basics of trading stocks. But if I was looking for a target right now, I'd be looking for, okay, where is that 618? Fibonacci, there's a lot of art that's applied to Fibonacci. It's not an exact science by any means. Sometimes you have to play with it in order to get the exact right range of Fibonacci, which I truly believe that may be, because what happens is when the 618 aligns nicely to some type of resistance up here or a candle, something like that, I use that as my target. So if I had gotten in, say I had bought down here, right? And I had my stop down here, then I'd be looking to take my profits up here at the 618. That's how I use that. All right. Michael M made 4R this morning on APPS. Nice job, Michael. Great job, brother. All right. Let me get rid of all that. Mike says, thanks, bought the bounce off the flush. Great job, man. All right. So let's go look at a few more trades. I want to go look and see. Everything's pretty much flushing. A lot of traders now are looking for that bounce off of potential support. I would be using my average true range, of course, to find out, have we made the move for the day? So we're looking at MaxR, got an average true range of about 560, somewhere like that. So you can see that looks like it's made its move. So this, what people are looking for now are, they're looking for fades. It's called a fade. So they've already kind of, actually MaxR could, yeah, it's gone past its average true range because you can see 359 is its average. It's looking like it's gonna potentially bounce here off the 20. MaxR would be, I'd be looking to MaxR later on in the day. If we bounce up off of MaxR, we form maybe a hammer and we form a morning star reversal here. That would be a great bullish sign. But I probably wouldn't be trading MaxR day trade the rest of the day. But if you can see that morning star reversal, if we get back up here on MaxR later today, that would be a great potential, great trade tomorrow. So same thing, looks like Tesla did. It's coming down here. It's looking for support. When stocks do this and we get a big flush, I personally look for not just a candle, but I look for those patterns we talked about earlier. Like I would be loving if we could get like a double bottom in here, do something like that, and then go. That would be great. If we could get a morning star reversal, That would be great. Also, people look for hammers, right? Hammers are a good candle to look for if they're down at support. Indecision, high wave candles are good to look for down at support. A lot of the more advanced traders will look. Basically, they'll just put their buy order down here and say, okay, I want to buy here, and then they'll put their stop down here, and so they won't even wait for a pattern. Let's go look at some other things. A lot of things flushing. This is why I use the 100 and 200. I use those as good indicators when things like this happen, because the stock market likes to pull back, and when it pulls back into usually the 100 and 200, depending on what chart that you're on. So same thing here. People looking probably to buy maybe down in here because you have that 200 that is supporting people. So probably people looking down at this wick to buy, and look where it went. Whoops, my brush. I got to turn my brush off. So a lot of people would have put their entry like this, looking for this wick. A little bit more advanced, but if I was looking for a pullback, just doing some quick analysis, this is a great place. These wicks right here, that's where things like to pull back. And what a better place to come down here, wick out off of that 200 and bounce. That's absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, I'm telling you. All right. Johnny, where do you see AMD going? Steph is asking me about AMD. Sometimes I'll break out my Southern accent when I need some assistance on figuring out things. Doesn't mean I'm cutting anybody down or anything like that. It just somehow it comes out. I just don't know. I went to school in Oklahoma, so maybe that's where it comes from. AMD, Steph's asking me AMD. Is this a great place to buy AMD? Heck yeah. Yeah, sure is. I want to go look at the, we didn't catch it in time, but you're getting a gorgeous bounce at the Qs because AMD is on the Qs, right? Part of the NASDAQ. I look at the Qs to see what the Qs is doing. Qs is bouncing out of there nicely. So AMD bouncing out of there nicely. You bounced off the 200 moving average. I'd throw my fib on again, a little bit more of an advanced type of look at things. This 618 comes back up here. So I'm tracking AMD coming back up here right to this resistance, right to the fib. So I don't have any risk reward there, Stephanie. So I would have had to put my buy order down in there and then use that as a target. So right now, don't have a great risk reward, right? Because if you throw on for all our new people, if you wanted to take this breakout, right, your stop would have to be down here, and the reward is only 0.53 R to here. So could it get up here? Certainly, absolutely. Didn't use my average true range yet, so I would use that as an indicator too of average true range, because Miss Stephanie knows that I use my average true range to determine like the potential move. So I'll go back here. Don't forget, I'm moving fast, so if anybody has questions, but my average true range is $3.40 on AMD. So I'd go in here on the 5-minute chart, and I would say, okay, if AMD's got 340, where could that baby go? Could it go up here? Probably not. I think AMD is just going to bounce around in here for the rest of the day. So I use that average true range indicator to determine whether I want to get into a trade or not, right? Because if it's already gone its average true range, that's telling me most likely it's not going to bust out of here. Most likely it's going to stay inside day in here for the rest of the day. Could it come up in here? Sure. Could it break this wick? Sure. But in my plan, again, I need to have at least 1-to-1 risk reward in here to take this trade. So that wouldn't work for me. So Stephanie says she got in at 91.93. So Miss Steph, where are we? Go in here. So she got in 91.93, somewhere in there. So Stephanie probably was looking to get in either, at this support here at the 200 or this support here. So most likely she has a stop, maybe $1 stop on that. So 90, that would put her stop potentially right in there. So Miss Stephanie went off of that. So great trade right there. All righty, coffee time. So somebody else wanted to look at something up here above pets. DZ Vista. Pets. Let me go look at pets. Pets. So pets. Wow, what a day on pets. Look at that volume coming in. All right, so you see all this consolidation on pets, broke out a little bit, came back and retested. Pets going bonkers. I don't know who, DZ, are you looking to get into a swing trade or a day trade? Which one were you looking to get into? So let's just see what it's doing on the day. Let's go into that average true range. Wow. So pets usually only moves $1.91 in a day. What does it move today? Price range. So pets that normally moves $1.91 in a day moved almost $8 today. That's crazy. So if you're going to get into that, DZ, I would say look for a pullback. What Jeremy always does, and I'll show you what Jeremy does and what I does. Jeremy usually goes about halfway into the candle and he'll put an order like this, something like, so Jeremy would be saying, okay, nice 200 right there. And he would potentially put his entry somewhere, something like this for Jeremy, for some sort of swing trade. I do the exact same thing, but I just take it another step further, and I'll use my fibs, because fibs will tell you, pretty much exactly. So fibs will tell you, okay, well, the halfway range on that candle is only there. So maybe I didn't have that halfway right. So that's why I use fibs, is to get a good idea where the halfway pullback is. I would probably even go somewhere down here and say, man, I'd love to get a bounce like off of that 200. So I would much rather buy low and miss a trade than to get it higher. So I always like to look to buy as low as possible. Then I'd go in there. I'd look to see what kind of other support I have. So we got nice support right here. I'd place a line right down in there, just because you have a little bit of support going on right there, right? I use my 15-minute candle. There's, the bottom of this wick here. So yeah, I'd put a nice entry right maybe down there. Remember, this went $8 too, so it could potentially come back further, because normally it only moves about $2 in a day. So you could be taking a lot of profits here. So you may even think I'd watch it later on in the day. I'd continue to watch it, and I potentially may even put my entry down here, thinking that it's going to come down this far and bounce. It could only come back to the 618. That's more of a, based on fibs, more of a, hey, this is what things normally do, and you're bouncing off that 10 Just thing is, if you played it up there, then you just have to make sure that you might have to have a bigger stop on you. So if you play it down here, get the fibs out of the way. If you play your entry down here further, then you know your stop doesn't have to be as tight, and you could potentially have more reward going into the play. Make sense, DZ? I hope I'm tracking. I'm going over things a little bit fast, but it's probably because, you know, I have all these tools in my toolbox and you guys and girls are not familiar with them. So just showing you the processes that I use. Let's see, Marcus, what criteria do you use to pick a stock? All right. So are you talking about day or swing, Marcus? Because very similar, but really can be different in a lot of ways too. So I want to make sure that I answer your question. So criteria, I don't know if you were in from the beginning, but we talked about a lot of things. One of the biggest things is the gaps. We at RLT like to trade gaps. So that's one of the biggest criteria that we use. How is a stock gapping? What momentum is being created? So daily swing, okay, sure, no problem. So all still the same. You have a particular stock that you want me to look at? If you do, if not, I can just go pick something. I don't want to pick Maxar. I want to pick something more of a range. Workday is a good one because we talked about this earlier. So what criteria do I use? The first and foremost criteria I use is I look to buy low and sell high. That's the biggest thing. Of course, as we like to teach everybody, you got to go through your basics, right? I mean, you got to find a stock that's trending at the very beginning. You know, you want to look for stocks that are trending. Stocks that are going sideways, you know, a little bit harder to trade, right? A little bit more advanced. So if you can find trends, you know, like find a trend like this right here, that is first and foremost what we look for if you're looking for good beginner type of swing trades, right? Then, of course, after that, we go in and throw in our support and our resistance lines. I'm going to show you up here because I like the way the workday looks up here. Or we could look at this if you want. I like this though, but this gives you a better example. So workday, we talked about trends, right? We talked about looking for those stocks that are moving up. We talked about patterns. You got a huge double bottom right here, right? So it broke out of here. It retested. So you could look for day trade or swing trades in here after the breakout. We look for gaps, you know, during that whole thing. Like this was a nice retest gap right here, right? Nice retest. After this gap down, it trapped all these people. And then you have this nice gap up here. It retests and then it goes. So looking for that type of criteria, looking for in the beginning stages, and I don't know where you are in your trading career, but you know, you want to leverage your moving averages. You know, is it above or below moving averages? Matt DeLong teaches a great strategy where we look for, you know, a cross here. We look for something that gaps or comes down below the 10 and then goes back up. So this would be in a perfect place to get into an entry. This is Matt DeLong's 10 EMA entry where, again, you had this candle come down here below the 10 and 20. But in this case, it's below the 50. So Matt looks for the 50 to move down here. There's just so many things, Marcus, to look for. That's why it's hard to answer your question because I don't understand where you are, whether you're a very beginner or whether you're a little bit more advanced, whether you use a specific strategy or you're a very new beginner. Okay, so very beginner, new beginners, are looking for a lot of things that I just said. You know, the trend, that's the first thing. If you want to look for a good trend like this, you want to look for candle patterns and chart patterns. This is a great beginner. Here's a better example for you. This is where Matt teaches where you have candles that close up above the 10, right? And then they come back down below the 10, and then, but they're above the 50. So this would probably, I don't have Matt's strategy up on my chart, but you'd probably see one of Matt's entries right here. This is his 10 EMA moving entry where we have a close down here below the 10, and then it's above the 50, which is the green line, and then it goes. So that's a good thing to look for. Another good thing to look for, though, in trades is anytime you're above these longer term moving averages, those put odds better into your favor, right? And then, of course, the gaps, like look at this place. So here you have some nice bullish volume coming in, some buying, you get a little bit of a retest, and then you get this hammer and you have earnings and this thing gaps up. This is an amazing gap on workday. So you can feel real good. It's above the 200 and 100 moving average. It comes back, retests. You get this indecision candle right here. Another great place to get in above this indecision candle because you already got the retest. So, okay, so you started using the Momo strategy. So yeah, I mean, that's another great strategy, which is based on Matt's moving averages. Yep, that's another great strategy. I would use his 10 EMA strategy in conjunction with that because these are all perfect examples. You're above the 50 here. You know, come down, you close below the 10, and what a great place to buy, especially you had this indecision candle right here. So that, Marcus, will all come with time. You got to definitely, have you done the beginner classes yet at Real Life Trading? Because when you get into the beginner class, I mean, you're talking about hours of going through classes to determine all these things that will help you get in and get out of trades. So have you taken those classes yet, Marcus? Because everybody who hasn't taken those classes, and they're free, I would highly, highly recommend. You started the free beginner classes? Okay, super. So yeah, in the beginner and intermediate classes, you're going to learn about those initial steps about looking for trends, putting in your support resistance, looking for gaps, looking for candle patterns, looking for chart patterns, looking at volume, all those great things. Make sense, Marcus? So Steph is saying, okay, good. Yeah, I can't stress enough for everybody who is just learning to trade to spend the time and go through these classes. Absolutely. When you get into the advanced trading, it's a little bit, like it says, more advanced. So you definitely need to get very proficient at all these things that are in these two classes. So Jennifer says the free classes are a must. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the best part is this word, F-R-E-E. F-R-E-E. Free. Free as a bird. All right. Stephanie's dragging me back to AMD. Let's go to AMD. Where are you, AMD? All right. Let's go see what AMD is doing. So AMD, we are, and this is one place I do not like to be. I do not like to be in between the 100 and 200. So I usually, me personally, I usually stay away from trading within that zone. Especially, you know, if you're down here, not too bad. You got, if you have the R to get up here and get, you know, at least at least 1R back up into here, then not too bad. But you have all these other moving averages that are down or above you, I should say. So if you get a breakout up here, sure, great place. But don't forget, we talked about earlier, you know, you're in that range, right? You're in that average true range, a big range today because it's already moved $4.28. So this is a little bit more of an advanced strategy where you're playing fades. This is known as a fade. So you're waiting for it to come down and show you some kind of reversal patterns, and then you fade that back up. So if you're a brand new beginner, Johnny Guarco's recommendation would be to stay away from those and just concentrate on the nice trends that we have. Beautiful trends, right? There, you know, we got up to an all-time high. And what are people going to do when you get to all-time high? Yeah, they're going to sell off, right? Nice trend, beautiful trend, right? So yeah, beginners, please go through those classes. Please get the basics. Please learn how to buy and sell trends. And then you can start getting into, you know, the little bit more of a, this is more of an advanced beginner stage where you're buying a fade off of down low like that. Sound good? A little bit of coffee sip time. So Stephanie was talking about, this is a very strong signal too. The later or the bigger charts, the stronger it is. But when you get this, when you get the close at the, or this, not the close, the wick at the same level, that's called a tweezer top. And you can have a tweezer top or you could have a tweezer bottom. So when you have candles like this, this is pretty decent resistance right here. So this is a signal for a lot of people that, you know, it's going to be kind of tough to break through that. Could we break through that? Yeah. But a lot of times also you'll see a stock will come up, look like it's breaking, and then just go down, because don't forget, this is a point of resistance. So a lot of people, especially beginner traders, you probably wait for a close above that. I need to draw better candles. But if you get a close above this tweezer top, then you're good to go. But right now it's creating a little bit of resistance for Miss Stephanie. We don't want resistance for Miss Stephanie. Karun, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Karun. How to interpret candle with small body and large volume. One would expect larger body when the volume is high. So that's called a high wave. If you're looking at this candle, that means there's a lot of, I should tell people about these candles, because beginners often think that this means that this is just all buying, right? This is not all buying. This is not all buying. This is not all buying. What this is the buying dominated the selling. So you had a little bit more buying volume come in than you did selling, is what this is saying. So on candles, Karun's asking, what about, you know, candles that are small, make sure I got it, small body, but with large volume? That means any candle that looks like this, a small body and large volume. Usually it means indecision is what it means, because you could have something like that, or you could have, you know, something like this. Let me see if I can draw something better. If you have, say this is a small body candle, you know, and you have a wick here, or your wick here, that means that there's just a lot of indecision in there. And that's what the volume is. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bullish volume or it's bearish volume. It just means that it's a lot of volume and people don't know whether to go bullish or bearish. Does that make sense, Karan? All right. So you can see here, we have this little bit of a high wave candle. It's kind of indecision, a little bit high wave. There's a lot of volume coming in. Then you have this next candle. It's an inside day candle because it's inside of this candle still. This is an inside day candle. So a lot of traders, a little bit more advanced traders, not necessarily advanced, but this is a good place to look for, okay, if it breaks out of here and closes, it's probably going to go bullish. If it breaks down out of here, out of these inside day candles, it's probably going to continue down bearish. So most likely everybody mostly in RLT, mostly bullish on AMD. So expectation would be that it busts out of here, but you can see it's struggling a little bit. So very interesting. Another thing for you guys and girls to look at in the future is this is a great setup right here. So when you have any type of situation where you have several inside day candles, a breakout from there is pretty good trade setup. Roger Dodger. Danny J, are you in the house?
I couldn't leave. I could not leave.
I want to talk story with my brother.
Yeah, buddy.
Man, I'm so happy that you are taking over and the teaching is just going to continue from here. Have you played anything yet, Danny?
You're a tough act to follow, Johnny. I got to tell you.
Not. Danny is one of my heroes, man. The guy is just an awesome trader. I love when Danny is on the mic. I love to follow Danny. He's just a great guy, man. You guys are going to love Danny. He's just a super dude. I hope you don't mind. I mean, I got 15 minutes left on the mic, but I just wanted to, I miss you, man. I wanted to talk story with you a little bit.
Yeah, man. No, 100%. I'm here. I'm hanging out. Yeah, I'm looking at a workhorse right now is actually set up, but other than that, I think the market pulls down one more time, does some kind of retest, something like that. So just trying to do patient. No, Steph, I cannot do accents like Johnny.
You can't do it. I got a French one going on too, but my French one needs a little bit of work. I used to have one of my traders in here that was French was helping me out, but he went on to the advanced trader. My wife took French in high school and college, and so I have a little bit of one, but like when I'm sitting here thinking about it, I have a hard time busting it out. I'm better at that southern accent because I got that Oklahoma twang still a little bit from my University of Oklahoma days. Lottie used to love my southern accent because Lottie used to say every time I broke out the southern, he used to make money. So
stick with what works. Don't fix it.
Do you like this? I was telling everybody about these inside day deliciousness.
Yeah, that looks good. Like I said, I think the market for what I'm looking for is one more pullback in the market, shake any of the weak bulls out, and then we're looking for some kind of reversals. So I'm just being patient. Besides workhorse, just because I think workhorse is a nice potential double bottom and trying to maybe break out, but I'm looking to buy in higher. So I'm waiting for the break on it. I'm not just going to jump in. I think it has potential to roll down, but if we start breaking out a little bit higher, I want to catch a move on it.
Okay. Well, I talked to Jeremy yesterday, and he said to just spend some time like talking stories. So
yeah,
in Hawaii, that's what they call it. They call it talking story when you're just kind of shooting the bull back and forth. But because I wanted everybody to get to know you, and this is a good time because I know at 7 o'clock you're just going to hammer them hard with all kinds of entries. So how long
I'm going to be going a little bit more in detail as far as the setup, the trade process. And if this does not trigger within the next few minutes, I'll probably end up canceling just so I could have a clean slate with coming on the mic with you guys and stuff like that. But
okay.
TJ has no stories. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I just sit here with the computer all day. What stories you guys want?
Patrick. You haven't seen the naughty side of Danny J yet. So, Danny, how long have you been with Jeremy?
I started with real life trading in 2018, I think, is when I first found Jeremy. But and then I was on and off just because mainly I was running a business as well, so I couldn't. I, I've been trading since probably about 10 to 12 years, but it's all been kind of on and off. But I found real life trading back in 2018.
What attracted you to real life trading?
So when I was trading at first, I mean, I was pretty much right out of college, trying to get into the markets, just trying to figure out where I want to be. Everybody told me, "Hey, you got to get that 9 to 5 job. Now, you know, you're out of college, and this is what people do." So, but I always kind of like the market, and then I was like, "All right, well, people tell me I got to do this, so I might as well do it." So then I would be a financial advisor. I was doing sales. I was doing a bunch of things here and that, but the entire time I was consistently like looking at the market, and I was with a prop trading firm for a little bit, which if you guys don't know what it is, you come in with whatever $5,000 or something, and then they prop you up to like 50 grand in cash to trade the markets with. So you're just over leveraged, which is fine to get your positions, but if you lose on the trade, let's say you lose $200 or $300 that day, your next day you start, they're propping up your $4,700, and now you have less buying power. So you kind of work yourself into a hole a little bit, and they never really tell you. They never really, number one, they never went over the risk portion of things, and two is they never really covered. They never really covered like actual trade setups and things like that. So you learn as you go. They were making, I mean, the prop firm themselves, they were actually making money off your trades because you're using margin with them. So it was kind of a interesting setup. But I learned the markets. I did learn a decent amount of just about the market in general from there. I'll definitely learn what not to do from there as well, which I guess is kind of important.
Yeah.
So it was when I found Jeremy, I was just watching some of his videos and setups and candles, and I was just doing like random searches online, and he got into the R system, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense to me. You're telling me that I could actually trade the market. I could trade a stock like Tesla. That's, I mean, it was 900 at the time, but I could trade a stock with $900. The stock price is $900, and based on my setup, I could still lose $200 and that's it, or whatever my R, like whatever I wanted to determine my R to be. It was a little mind boggling. And then the other thing too is with the R system, you could be a 50% trade. You could actually have a less than 50% winning record and still come out positive at the end of every month. So it's just mind boggling.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people realize that. I mean, because when you talk about betting, you know, I mean, you're a 50-50 better, probably most people, right? I mean, 50-50 chance. You go to Vegas, most likely 50-50 chance. But we talked about risk mitigation. People don't understand how important it is to be able to mitigate your losses, lose less than an R, and then, you know, you can be a 50-50 trader and still make money like what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So would you say that this community, have you ever witnessed a community like real life trading before? I mean, I've tried to express to all the new people, just the family, the friends, you know, how we look out for each other, how we talk about trades all the time. What do you think about our community?
I've said this before. For me, because I was always interested in the stock market, things like that, without even anything else in the community, the fact that I could go to my friends and be like, "Hey man, did you guys see Apple stock?" And they're like, "Yeah man, just have another beer, just relax." Like they don't want to they don't want to talk about stocks. They're just not interested. So like, and you don't have to be friends with obviously everybody that you have some interest in and you grew up together and stuff like that. But there was never anybody that I could just be like, "Hey Johnny, man, what do we think about Beyond Meat?" And we go into story, we start texting in ticker symbols. It's so the fact that there's 500 people that are all kind of like-minded. They're all interested in what you're doing. You guys are actively doing it every day. Even trading by myself, you could learn to trade and learn the candles and where to enter and all that stuff. But even if I was a master trader and wanted to do it by myself, yeah, it's possible. But to have the community behind you where you're just talking stocks all day and you got more eyes on the market and, hey man, yeah, I'm going to take this. All right, cool. And you're pulling up other stocks that you probably normally wouldn't look at. Just the fact of that. And then the entire community is just so positive. I could go right now, place a trade in or set up into Slack, and everybody's going to throw their feedback. Yeah, watch out for this. Look for this. That looks like a good trade. You lost on this one. Good try. We'll get them next. It's just the positivity that not only affects the market, but just the just that positivity that goes forward into your own daily life as far as what you're trying to accomplish bigger than the market, something that's not just dollars and cents of what you made or lost today in the market, but going out and pushing that forward and
Yep.
actually being able to enrich other people's lives by spreading that, teaching somebody else, whether they're part of the community or not, like, hey, yeah, Dan, take this.
Yep.
Just to know that you have that skill, that ability, and that the community's behind you on it is incredible.
Yep. So when it brings me back to when we had our leadership training, right? We were all just participants. We had no idea what was coming. And the whole leadership training that we went through talked about how important it is for a company to have a why and be centered around that why, and I know, I mean, it gives me goosebumps just to go think back to that day, because Jeremy's why and the way that he established and the foundation of real life trading, the why is to enrich people's lives. People don't really understand that, because people understand, okay, it's a company, they're in business to make money. But I would say, can you tell everybody, what are your feelings? I mean, the foundation of our company, the enriching lives. I mean, it goes so far beyond, what you just described and helping people. And when we went through that training, man, and I was just like in awe, and I was like, it was like almost like the finality that I was looking for, to understand that I was at the exact place that I was supposed to be with Jeremy in real life trading. And did you feel like that?
Yeah, well, the that training, I was not on it, that class in particular, because I had a prior commitment,
Okay. That's right.
actually
I
with
forgot about that.
the company that I was I was running. So I was
That's right.
like, no, I don't want to miss it, but I had to. But yeah, I saw the messages coming in from the other team members here at Real Life Trading, stuff like that. But it was just, and then you guys all had the profiles coming in and stuff. So I was checking all those out and everything. So it was very cool to. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be participating in, but just to see and witness and just kind of see where everybody fits into the piece of the puzzle, it's very cool. And it is. I mean, the weird thing about the market is when you start trading or you get interested in the market, it's how much money can I make? And you're just focused on the dollar amount, or man, I hate my job, I want to do this. But when you think about it, like the money, what you make is just, it's meaningless. Like it's you hope to make some money, you want to, you definitely can, but all of that at the end of the day, it's meaningless. It's what you do with the money that you're making. The reason why you're trading is not to just have just stacks and rubber bands of cash under your mattress. It's to do something. So the why is actually, where are you going to apply the money that you've gotten? What are you going to do with that money? Is it to buy a new house? Are you going to try to donate some money to charity? Can you help a school program or something like that? And what you're doing with the money, like you getting the money, yeah, that could enrich your lives because it gives you the capability of doing something.
Yeah.
But when you actually spend that money, even if you're buying a new house, you've just employed all those people to, maybe, it's a brand new house, they got to build the foundation, you got the guy that's doing the electricity, you got all that. So you got a new house, but at the very same time, you've helped feed the families of all those people that are working, kept them employed, give them the job. So even on that aspect, it goes a lot further than how much can I make, how many R's did I personally make in the market. That's just a key. That's just a tool for the ultimate goal for really expanding out, helping really the community and others that could definitely need it.
Yeah, man. Spot on, dude. You hit that one on the head. Just we are so blessed by this system that Jeremy has put together and our community. And I know this is my home, you know, for the rest of my life. And I
Yeah.
just love being part of it. Um, yeah, I guess you're ready to take over. I'm a perfect example of those who, you know, right now have a job. My job is not for long. Jeremy talked to me yesterday, Danny, as a matter of fact, and he said, you know, he truly believes we're going to double this year in size, and
Yeah.
because, as you know, his goal to reach 1 million people in the next 5 years, and um, but I want everybody to understand, because there's probably a few people. I just want to leave this last thing with you guys. You know, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about that Intel analyst, you know, that has to go through all that training in the School of Hard Knocks. You know, trading is no different, but the difference between that and what you potentially have in your hands is the fact that you have all these men and women that I truly 100% believe in, and I love being part with them. And I know from my experiences being around them, they are all just as genuine as can be. I'm a perfect example of a guy who, you know, I have 5 children. I live in Hawaii. It's expensive as heck to live here. I have pretty decent income from that job, but my trading income is gradually getting ready to be like Patrick Sullivan, where I'm going to be soon making a lot more money trading than I am in my job. So I want you guys and girls to have that vision. I want you to understand what you have at your fingertips. Don't let this be one of those opportunities that let it slip through your fingers. I mean, dig down deep. Understand that this is one of the best ways to financial freedom, if that's what you're looking for, because that's what I'm looking for. I want to be free, man. I want to be able to spend time with my family. I want to be able to hop on that plane when Jeremy says, hey, we got this retreat. I need you to come over here and be part of that. You know, I want to be sitting on the beaches with Danny J, drinking a Mai Tai, you know, trading with our laptops. You know, I want to be able to make sure that my kids are taken care of and my wife is taken care of. So, you know, I mean, I'm just pleading with you guys. Just take a good look at this opportunity. Take a good look what's on your plate right now. Understand that, you know, in my opinion, this is the place that you need to be. If somehow, some way you stumbled across that free week and that open house, it was for a reason, and put that reason to use. So anyway, I wanted to say thank you very much for coming to trade with me today. I hope I get to become best friends with you guys like I am with so many people in this community. If you ever need to ask me a question, again, Johnny, JONNY at reallifetrading.com. And I'm leaving you in fantastic hands now with Danny J. Danny J, over to you guys. I'll be back on the mic on Friday. So until then, go crush some trades.